Welcome to the Neurodivergent Musician Podcast. I'm your host, Jon Hart, and today I'm joined by Andy Webb. How you doing, Andy?
Hi, John. How you doing? I'm good, my friend. So lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too, man. Instead of me introducing yourself, because I'll probably mess it up, do you want to introduce yourself to the Neurodivergent Musician Podcast?
Yeah, so all to that lovely audience of yours. So, my name's Andrew Webb. I am predominantly an all-fast stroke engineer, lots of many diverse talents, and mostly been in the sports industry as well, in coaching and supporting high performance for different areas of industries. So I'll probably say that's the best way to describe myself.
It's kind of like the boilerplate, or the statement of it and things. So I mean, probably the title is going to be something like Dyslexia with Andrew Webb. And should we dive into that? Like, I mean, you've got your book, which I've been reading, and it's amazing. I mean, I've highlighted the shit out of it. It's brilliant, mate. It really, really is. I mean, what I love about it is, it's knowing the short time I've known yourself, and we'll go into how we met and things. That's in the book as well. What I love is the way you not only come across in the book, you come across in your life, and it's Andrew Webb. It's like you're not just like you haven't got different personalities. Like in regards to we've got our work selves, we've got our home selves, but what I've loved is every time I read this, I'm like it sounds like you. And what I love as well is it's a mix between your background, your stories, pretty much a synergy of heart, head, and soul, like synergized into one book, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And to be honest, it's a part of it was obviously the story of a mini part of it. Reading was a kind of a therapy in some ways, but for people obviously neurodivergent, and especially for myself, for years I kind of hid away from it. I didn't embrace it. I kind of was fearful. I kind of didn't want people to find out I was dyslexic. I've kind of had this shroud of, it's really odd, but hopefully some of the listeners will kind of understand that point of view. It's kind of a shroud of shame. It's like a cape of not wanting people to know kind of that side of you. And you do, as you said there, you create masks. And I think a real key thing for me was always from a young age that I was really good at sport. And I kind of put all my energy into that. So my kind of social circles, my friends, to survive in life at that time as a young boy was to go, well, I'm really good at sport, so everyone accepts me for that. I used, obviously, because yourself, a lot of people with ADHD, dyslexia, it is very linked when you do research, is aggression. So that's how, because you can't express yourself, it's really hard to explain to other people how you feel. So I used to do boxing, you get aggressive, you get told off in class. So you kind of create these, although egos in some ways, a little bit, these kind of identities of us, Andy Webb, the sports person, or Andy Webb, the aggressive person to a certain degree, or you kind of hide behind these kind of, and comedy. So I see a lot of comedians and yourself, like artists, people hide behind that talent to use their skills that they got. And for many years, I didn't really know what my pure talents were. You kind of just get through life and you're trying to survive, and you know kind of what you want to do, but you're too afraid to do it. And then I just got to a point where things happened in my life changed, circumstances, and I got to a point where I went, I must have had enough. I just had enough of it's exhausting, emotionally, mentally exhausting for being that type of person. And it got to a point where certain kind of timelines in my life happened, which we'll only go to in a bit later. And when them timelines happened, I just went, you know what? I'm just going to be, not because I've always been this certain person, but all these other aspects kind of, it's like a bit like the universe, really, all these planets kind of around the main you, and you kind of use them to knock off all the asteroids of life and things like that. And I got to the point where I went, I've had enough. I just want to be me, and if no one likes the person I am or the things of being dyslexic, then that's their problem. It's not my problem. But I think for years, a lot of dyslexic people kind of blame themselves, which is a very odd. You can't. It's not something it's given to you. It's your genetics. It happens. But I don't know if maybe yourself are the same as me. But you kind of get to a point where you're going. For years, I was like, oh, why is this me? Why has this happened to me? Why am I like this? And you have these questions. And unless someone is in the same boat as you, even your family. So, for example, perfect for me, no one else in my immediate family, so my mum, my dad, I generally think my dad's probably got the dyslexia kind of genius. It rooted down that way. But no one else is being diagnosed. No one is fully dyslexic. So it's really hard in a household when you are concerned in your own body, really, of things. So I put it in the book, and it was really interesting that my mum then read the book, and she was like, I didn't even know that. But in the book, I put a bit where, I don't know if other people are listening, but a Sunday night used to be horrendous for me, because it used to be the fear. I'd play football on a Sunday morning. Loved my football because that was where for 90 minutes I could go on the pitch and just be
release, right?
Absolute release. But you don't have to read, right? You don't have to that. You just be you. I'd come off the pitch. I'd go home. I'd have a bath. I'd have a Sunday roast, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Then you just do your own thing, happy in your little bubble, and then it'd be put your pajamas on, and then obviously it's probably not great, but like London's Burning used to be on.
Yeah.
You always watch London. But then the fear, as soon as the credits went up, I went, I'm going to bed. Now it's school tomorrow. I've got to go back. And for me at the time at school, and I've put a bit in the book as well, and lots of things I think of education, especially with dyslexic people, maybe as well ADHD people and other neurodivergent kind of people in our friends groups, it was like going to prison.
One size fits all, right? That's you've got to do it this way, and there's no other flexibility and adaptability to it. Yeah, mate.
Yeah, and I'd just cry. I'd go to bed crying, and that was all the way up to nearly 15 years old. And kind of 15 was when I got to the point where I kind of started to embrace it a little bit more, but to then go, okay, I want to do something with my life. I don't want to be like other people to a certain degree. I thought, and that's where kind of the mentality and mindset kind of started a little bit, the seed of going on. You know, you've got your Richard Bransons, and there wasn't a big, when I was younger, there wasn't a big thing of dyslexia because no one really knew about it. So that was kind of about the only person you kind of really knew about.
Yeah.
And that was a bit, and you think, well, he's a millionaire, he's done it, right? How's he done it? So you kind of get this thing in your head where you go, I just don't want to be poor, because you're terrified. It's like, I remember myself, you know, you're terrible at maths, but obviously I'm good with money. Well, I hope so, but my wife might tell me different. But yeah, it's that thing where you go, how am I going to cope in society? How am I going to get a bank account? How am I going to get a house? What do I do? I don't know. And there may be questions even normal, you know, diverse brains have, but probably people with severe the scale are going, how do I do that?
Yeah.
How does that? I can't even comprehend what you're explaining to me. So yeah, it was a real big kind of change, and that's where the book, obviously years later, I just kind of went, right, I've got to put it down. I'm just going to throw it out there and be vulnerable. And when you come back to being honest, I think in life is the best way to be vulnerable and to just go, this is me, this is who I am. Like it or lump it, really, in the most nicest way.
And when did you find out you were dyslexic? Really, really young?
Well, to be honest, I was really lucky. So I found out when we'd done sessions, my mum kept pushing because first school, middle school, just hated it. It was just terrible. Just didn't want to be there. I used to run away sometimes. And my mum, funny enough, knew something wasn't right, but she didn't know what. So you imagine in the 90s, it was just, your son is just a pain in the arse. He just wants to get out of class, which is a tactic. You do that. I mean, when I put it in the book as well, where teachers will just be like, right, stand up in front of everyone. So there's an audience all of a sudden. read and it's panic and terrifying. You're going, how am I going to get out of this? What? So sometimes I just have to get through it and be ashamed. And that was from a teaching education point of view, from classmates laughing at you, or to kind of create kind of some diversion. To get out of the classroom, get chucked out, and then you're like, oh, that's relief, that's over. And that, for a lot of people, not. And I talk to this to my wife and lots of other people. People don't realise how exhausting it is every day. Imagine you go to work 5 days a week and you're knackered. So imagine as a young person going through, obviously, normal society life cycle, hormones, body changing, all these things going on, and then to add that on top, you just feel so alone. And even I'm very lucky that it was just before going to secondary school, they'd done some tests on me. And obviously it's in the book as well at the beginning, and the council did these tests, and they were like, it's severe, it's really bad. And they were actually in a point where, I do have to thank my mum for this thing, there used to be, where we lived, there was kind of 2 schools. One had what they called a correctional unit.
Right.
Which is, how funny does that sound now? It's
correctional unit, bloody hell.
But even the words, you imagine, even the words sound kind of weird. The other one was a school, a disability school. And it was a school where people were severely, disabilities, from maybe physically, mentally. And I remember as a young boy, and this school was called Deerswood. I always remember it. And the school's not down, it's down the road. And I remember we went there for a visit. And there was people in wheelchairs, and people had, like the protection helmet.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, what am I doing here? What's wrong with me? That's as a young boy, you're going, what's wrong with me? Why am I here with all these other people as a young man? And I remember my mum just going, no, you're not going. And the council were like, well, this is your option. He's at a mainstream school, and he's not going to survive in mainstream school. This is not. So luckily, the secondary school I went to, a place called Ifield Community College, where I was based over in Crawley, they had this learning support correctional unit area, and it was really good. There was something in the middle school which I loved, but it was just a development of it. And the woman there, I put in the book, her name was Miss Tiley, and I remember clearly that she was the person that kind of went, there's something not right. He's got something. Is it ADHD? Is it dyslexia? What is going on? But this young boy at 11 years old is what she said, a really talented person, but we're not getting into him. We're not engaging him. We're not getting into that area of what makes him tick. And she was the person that kind of saved me a little bit in some ways, because 11, 12 years old coming up to you, going, well, I'm going to secondary school, which is terrifying when you're that age, for any person, I think. Then you are sitting there going, well, you get this stigma. Oh, there's something wrong with me. I don't know where it is. And you're trapped in, because all your parents don't know. No one else knows, man. Even if you're in an education system and they don't really know.
You feel misunderstood, right? As well. There's just like, well, you don't know yourself, and everyone else don't know, so you're just like, it's just a constant question mark. It's a limbo period, right? You're just living in a question mark the whole time. And I suppose, 11, 12, I'm thinking of my daughter, she's 12, and she's just got a dyslexia assessment things, and she's just starting secondary. Primary, secondary. We both had primary, middle, and high, which, looking back on it, you had to go through multiple changes and multiple things all the time as well. So you got your foundation, and luckily, obviously, you got mum, and then obviously this other lady who's sort of picking up on things. But what obviously, her awareness and her education as well, because obviously these days it's starting to, there's more awareness and education. Back in the 90s, one thing obviously what sounds great about what she did for you was he's really talented. So it's like actually not shutting it down to a point where he's just like, no, we just need to prop him up for the education system. She can see straight in, with yourself.
And she kind of saved me, really. When I kind of did a lot of research for the book, and you kind of are staggered by how enclosed people are. Like you kind of, as the time has gone on and speaking to people and doing other kind of lectures and talking to people, it's like being in a coma. You know, when people are like an induced coma and you can hear everything going on around you, but no one can hear you.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And what, for me personally, that's what I felt like. I felt trapped in my own body. And you can't articulate to people what's wrong. You can't, and you're just spending. I remember going to restaurants, even when I was older, till I was in my mid-20s, and I would go. I'd make an excuse not to go to a restaurant with people because I couldn't read the menu. So I would be embarrassed to go, well, I can't read. I'm not going to ask someone, oh, by the way, could you read the menu to me? Because I didn't have that emotional, intelligent confidence at that time yet to do that. And that was still even into my 20s. So going back to kind of that, going back in that timeline, I'm so grateful for her because how she taught me was through football. So, we used to colour code routines and do maths with how many people scored goals and and that engaged me. And I kind of started learning an education just in a different pathway, a different route. But it got me to a position whereby I could start understanding certain things and even read it slightly at one or two sentences. But if it was about football or sport, it kind of got me engaged where I could put words together.
Was that the emotion? Like sometimes I find I can read, like I'm reading your book, but I'm connected. I'm not necessarily reading it with the words. I'm connected because I'm emotionally connected to it. It's like when you're interested in something, you're like, okay, I need. It's like a comic. Like back in the day, you'd be like, okay, I need to get to the next. What's going to happen with this next thing? Stuff. And then so you start to. I connected with emotion rather than, reading for the sake of reading. And if I wasn't interested, I was just it would be like like all school lessons, right? Like I'd be like, I don't know what this is. And so I'm lost. It's gone. I can't figure out. Apparently I had a sensory assessment. It's like I can't listen past 8 words and all these other things and stuff as well. It's just like, so for when you're obviously doing the football, there's passion and emotion connected behind it and stuff.
100%, and that's what got me through. And you're 100% right. I like you hit it out of the head there a little bit. I'm very similar because even my wife does it to me. She goes, "You've got an attention span of a gnat." So he goes, she could say something to me, and I go, "What did you say?" And she went, "Did you even hear what I said?" And I was like, "I got some of it," but because she's like a fly on the wall or something triggered my eye somewhere else, and I was darting and she's like, "Okay," but she's learned that. And it's really good because so like tasks, she'll put tasks down for me in an order. So I kind of have a tick sheet, which really works for me well. But then what she does, she goes, "I'll let you go off on a tangent. And then when I'm going to talk, I put my hand up or vice versa." So I've learned, even as a 40-year-old man now, I sit there and she goes, "Let me," and I'm gagging because my brain's going, "I need to get this out."
Right.
Give me a second, wait, just put your hand. And I'm like a kid now going, "I need to tell you something." She's like, "Right, now you tell me." It's fine, I'll get out. So
it's interesting with that because I didn't get my dyslexia assessment until university. So 2004, it was like a bloody undergraduate degree here in music, and I picked the wrong music course in some ways. Like it was very academic, and I should have gone with something else. But after the first year, my lecturers started picking up on I was making all of these essays incredibly artistic and visual, but the actual content of what the writing stuff was, they were just like, we can see what you're doing, Jon, everything as well with all this like pretty stuff. Basically, that's what I do. I decorate everything because I was so crap at trying to put all the text and everything together because we don't have, things like AI tools now to be able to help to revise and stuff as well. Obviously, there's spelling mistakes. We know what it's like with dyslexic sort of text and language. There's no commas, full stops. There's all the mistakes, everything as well. Some phonetics. I've like still some words. I'm just like, Jesus, like, when you're trying to text someone and then you get to a word and not even the bloody spell check knows what you've written to be able to correct you, right? And then you've lost the track of like, I don't even know what I'm writing anymore. I'm like, because I'm stuck now on this word. And I remember, I don't know if you ever felt it, but with essays, I remember I had to do a dissertation, and I got to the end of one sentence, I broke down in tears because I was like, I can't go any further because I can't. It's like my brain's going too fast, and I'm trying to write at the same time. My dyslexia is like trying to do this, and that's why I had to switch to doing like creative stuff, like write an EP or do a performance, and that's how it pulled my marks up. But man, like trying to even do like education or a degree, and you're trying to. I saw my dyslexia as like a creative problem solver, and so you're problem solving. You're trying to figure out ways, but like you said, actually, to do that all the time with every single thing in life, you're having to second and third think every single thing you're doing. So no, we get exhausted if we're having to do, multiple times. We're like, okay, actually, is that the right way? Or is this the right way? Whereas someone else, it takes them seconds. And I used to burn myself out so much. And then I found out it was dyslexia, but I was in my 20s. I was like, I'm out alcohol. I was like, screw it now, well, fine. I'll just go out and drink and stuff anyway.
How did you feel? So I was going to ask you, how did you feel when you found the news out?
How do you mean? What newsletter for?
So when I found out dyslexic, first thing I thought I was dying. Thought it was a disease.
Right.
And that's it. I thought, well, I remember my parents sitting me down and going, you've been diagnosed with dyslexia. And my first thought went, am I going to die? That obviously as a young man. But, I feel people I've spoken to later on now and doing kind of lectures and talks. And when people find out, it's such different emotions. Like some people are relieved because they're like, finally, I found something. I know what the reason why I am how I am. Some people are in shock and they're like, didn't even realise, didn't even comprehend, and they've gone through life. Obviously, there is different scales of it, but majority of people I've found have just been relieved. And it was interesting. I thought, I'll see what yours is, because obviously mine was younger, and I just thought, oh my God, what's happening to me? But as the older, and I was speaking, and even younger people now, obviously times are different. Like you said, AI, and there's so much more awareness. But a lot of people now find more relief in it, more comfort. And I was wondering, what was that for you? What was it like being older? Because obviously
Well, I found out obviously the ADHD and autism. So there's two. I've got like almost 20 years apart, almost, I think, between these diagnoses. So the first one was dyslexia. I took it and then I had it, but you're in the middle of a degree and stuff as well. But it's so funny, without even knowing I had ADHD, they were like, so you get a free mini disc player and everything as well. I was just like, so you went from like almost like trying to process the dyslexia to going, you get something free. And I went, oh, and I'm like, so it was such a right. And I'm looking back at it now. I mean, bloody mini disc players. I mean, they just didn't last very long anyway. But I took it, and then you had the extra time and stuff as well. And I think it was just university was such a whirlwind. You're in a bit of a bubble. You're drinking all the time. Like it's just like and I was surrounded by some people who. I remember my folks when I was growing up, and because I used to like jump from project to project. We probably know, there's all sorts of things. That's why there's traits of obviously dyslexia, ADHD, and all the other stuff. But they said something healthy, which I took as a healthy approach, and they went, we just thought that was just Jon, as in just Jon. So there's like, we're not looking at the labels, we're not looking at everything as well. We just like, it was just your unique characteristics. But I remember my mum saying that, and I was like, Mum, I don't think you realise actually how healthy that actually is. Some people can say it and it's like, well, that's not just me. I've got loads of things part of me. I'm like, but actually I took it as a real comfort. And then when I told them about dyslexia, they were just, there's part of us that want to talk about it and stuff, but there's others who just kind of, my folks were just like, it almost doesn't matter. Like, we still love you, whoever you are, and stuff as well. Other people, you can tell it's just like, okay, yeah, all right, you using the, talking about that, was it an excuse and stuff as well, whatever it is. But I think, back what was this, 2004? So there was a little bit of awareness, especially at university and stuff as well. But I was in my early 20s, and then, you're kind of using my performer mode. It's almost like, okay. And then I didn't really go into it. But when I was 38, and we went through business crash and then pandemic, and then had a mental health crisis and stuff. After a psychiatric assessment, I found out I got ADHD and autism. And I mean, that hit me like a bloody train, because it was just like, why did I have to crash so hard? It's almost like some ways I wish someone had picked up on, have you got ADHD and stuff as well? And no one did. And so I crashed, and to crash that hard to then find out, it was just like that sort of, you're trying to recover, and then you're like, what? I've got this and this. I know I've got dyslexia. And then that, I think, triggers, it depends. It doesn't matter what neurodivergent condition stuff as well. I think, in some ways they can all connect together, but there's a grieving process. And that grieving process lasted probably 3 years. There was cycles of, oh yeah, I know, yeah, great. But then I go back over 38 years of my life, of all some of the stress and the misunderstandings, everything as well. And the ADHD and autism would fill in the gaps of certain moments that we went through when we were growing up. Or I struggled to read music. So as a musician, you can't read music. It's like, it's almost frowned upon, and guitarists are notorious for not reading proper music in some ways, that and this is like classical music. And I remember going and doing sessions, and my granddad, actually, when I was 12, he put Only Fools and Horses notation in front of me, and I was able to play lots of stuff as well, but then he said, play this, and I loved Only Fools and Horses, and I said, I can't. He's like, you're not going to make a great guitarist then, or whatever it was, like some kind of just side comment. And it broke me. But then it went, right, I am going to put on a performance that's, that's going to make him think differently. And 10 years later, I did a variety show, and I played it, performed it, again, no notation or anything as well, just do it as a performer. And then after the show, went up and saw my family, and my granddad went, I take that back, what I said 10 years ago. No one else knew what he was talking about, but it was like such a validation for that kind of. And obviously I knew about the dyslexia and stuff as well. But yeah, I'd read notation, and the lines and the notes all just jiggle around and then blurry and everything as well. And that shame and guilt as a musician, you're doing a course, you're doing this, and you're like, I don't know what the bloody is. I've been trying to do this and learn the things like notes in their face and stuff as well. I pick up notation still, and I go, no, it's I know the basics, but it's like learning a language, right? Anything like these sort of stuff as well. But yeah, mate, there's been shame and guilt cycles, but there's some relief, and what do they call it? They call it grief.
Relief. I like that.
Relief. So yeah, grief and relief. And I think there's still bits that catch me in the things as well, especially we talk about life unfolding the way it is, and then you go, like this, in some ways, the awareness and everything as well. Did it come too late? And it's just like, well, no, what is, it's just what it,
It is. And yeah, going back to it, kind of, when you're having these conversations, things ping out in your head, and you sit there, and you do, and it is a grieving process, and people don't really understand that, because when you find out, and when you kind of look back, so when I was writing the book, obviously naturally you're going back, and so you're going back to emotions as well, emotional states, times in your life. And I sat there before I met my wife now, failed relationships, failed friendships, jobs, and you kind of go back and go, well, why did they happen? And the first thing that comes into your brain, you're going, oh, that's because of you. You're taking the accountability. You've got to take accountability and ownership in life. And it's something I've progressed more and more when I talk to people about taking ownership for yourself and not being a victim, and not kind of using it as a classic thing you use as a superpower, but going as a gift. I'm different for a reason, which is good to be different. And I've put in the book as well about certain careers now. You'll hear NASA, MI5 want people with dyslexia. They want them skills. And going back, and I bounce the same as you, and you kind of grieve, and you go, oh, I understand now why maybe that relationship broke down, because I didn't articulate myself in a good way because I couldn't. Or little things you do. So my wife understands now, it's great, and we've learned that things like people in the past where I forget to do things, and someone gets yelled at you, you forgot to pick your shopping up, you forgot to go and do this, you left the door open, you locked yourself out, and all these little compounding things that build, and someone goes, well, you didn't care to do that. And it's like, it's not, it's just the way I'm designed. But if they don't understand that, and especially in relation, I put it in the book, and it was really key for me, because I think a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships can break down because of that, because the person doesn't understand what that other person's going through on a day-to-day basis, because it's never going away. It's not something you go, well, it's not like the gym where you can build yourself up and you can make yourself, you can try and improve it, but it's always there. It's always going to be with you. It's that kind of, I remember one child, it was really interesting, we were having a chat, they were 13. And they said to me, I was like, how's dyslexia to you when you found out? And they went, it's like having a puppet on your shoulder. And I was like, okay, what's the puppet? And they said, yeah. And for me, it's like the puppet's the only person that gets what I do. And when I do things and other people ask me, I just blame it on the puppet. And I'm like, okay, great. How's this come from? And they were like, because people don't understand you've got this, because they just see you. It's not like you've got a leg missing. Right. It's not like you've got an arm. It's not a physical thing that people go, there's something wrong, I'll help you. So when you go, well, I'm dyslexic, they just go, well, that means you can't read and write. But there's so much of a scale of part of it that people don't understand. And going back to what you were saying then I looked back and look at relationships, and you look at things yourself, and it really hit. So I was a very same kind of story where I wanted to be in the fire service. So I was always like young. That was kind of, if you couldn't be a footballer, I'd be a firefighter. And always good friends of mine were firemen at the time. I older went, got to get trained. That's your thing. If you want to get in, you want to get a train, because on your days off, you go and do another job. I was like, all right, great. And then I remember leaving school, and I was like, well, I'm going to become a bricklayer, because it's a great career. I was like, good money, I'm outside. And like I say, with dyslexic artists, you're building more, building. This sounds like a great idea. And it's funny enough, a gentleman stopped me, and he said, and it was just like a small kind of table with stuff, and he said, you ever thought about engineering? And I was thinking, I don't even know what engineering is. What is it? And he said, you get to build stuff from scratch and make stuff out of metal, materials, and chains and pulleys and electrics and motor. And I'm thinking, well, this sounds a bit like space. This is quite exciting. And I remember going home, and my sister, who's 6 years older than me, she was going out with a boy at a time, and he was doing engineering. So he started saying to me, engineering's good money, and you do right. I was like, okay, there you go, because that driver's young age just to have money. I went, I'll try that. So I went back, and they said, right, you've got to go, we've got like an assessment place. And you go and do your assessment, and then they'll tell you kind of what route to go in. So I'm like, fantastic. So I went to this kind of building, went and done the test. And I remember saying to the person there, look, I'm dyslexic. Could someone read it to me? Because towards the end of like my GCSEs and stuff I used to get, which is fantastic. Like we've got a reader for the exams, which was a fantastic thing, and I think I didn't do as well. I wouldn't have done as well if I didn't have someone to read it to me, which is massive. And for yourself and all your listeners and things like that, I always, now with my wife, even my kids, I get to a position, if there's something I'm not sure, I go, you read it to me, and I can just sit here and think about it, and I can kind of get the answer.
Right.
And I remember the bloke said, no, you just do the exam, and that's it. And I remember thinking, I can't even read half the questions. So I did it, and I remember coming back, and this bloke, it kind of stuck with me, and it's in the book as well, that he was like, you're never going to do engineering. What's the point? There's no point. Maybe you're the person that takes like the equipment to the van. Kind of, if you did that Mickey Flanagan sketch, you kind of the man, you go from the factory to the van, that kind of, and I was like, it really fucked me off at 16.
Yeah.
Same as you with you, obviously it's a family member, but this is someone I didn't know. And you're sitting here, and I remember coming out, I'm just thinking, can I swear? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you telling me I can't do something? And kind of throughout the rest of my life so far, these kind of little moments happen and you go, ha, I'm going to do that now just to piss you off because you said that. But yeah, that first, and I think if there's young people, even older people listening to this, don't be afraid. Don't let someone else's, and it's a classic naysayers, they say very American woo-woo, but don't let someone tell you, define for you what you can and can't be. But obviously, there is realistic realities. So, I'm not going to be a 100-meter sprinter. I'm not going to be a basketball player. And so there is fundamentals that you go, have dreams, have your ambitions. Have
Yeah.
But there is certain things you're just not going to be able to do. But I'd love to be a musician. I love music. I couldn't even play a string. I can't even I'd be terrible. I think you'd have to teach me, but it could take you about 25 years to do one chord. But I haven't just got that in me. That's just not there. But you all have talent. Everyone has a talent. And people with ADHD, just say, it is generally true. You do have a gift. If you might have not found it yet, but you generally have something that's unique. And I've felt from, like I say, going back from about 16 onwards, I just made interpersonal skills. I think I was just really good at joining people together, maybe the camaraderie in football a little bit. But I just had a real good thing. People used to say to me, "Oh, you'll be a good car salesman." And I used to be like, "Oh, I don't think." But it's that kind of mentality that I could go to a party, I could go to a pub, I could go and chat to girls, I just had because I think that skill enhances because you struggle with all the other skills. That's your front. You go, well, I'm really confident and bubbly because I'm hiding everything else behind me in these drawers or this cupboard. And I think for people, like you said, with your granddad, like, you get to that point, which is really important for people, where I think you need that in life. I do generally. I think it's scary. It's not nice, but we all need that first one of the people listening that you sit there and go, someone's going to say to you, you can't do that because you've got ADHD, because you have got dyslexia. And I would always just emphasize to people, it's not listening, but use that as a fuel. Use that as a thing to go, do you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm gonna like stick two fingers up here and go. And it doesn't matter as well how good or bad you are at it. At least you had a go. And I find that with a lot of people with dyslexia, they're just too scared. They're not brave enough to just try it. So what if it goes wrong? But I remember writing the book, and it got to a point where I was like, I've just got to get it out there because I'm writing. And there's more chapters than there is now. I could edit it more, but I got to a point where I was like, I just need to get it out there. I just need people to see it. And so for my own achievement to go, well, I've done it and it's done. But at the same time, it's just to give people that awareness was locked inside me to go, do these things. Hopefully take some notes, maybe laugh, maybe cry, maybe just take, even if it's an inkling, it's one little bit in it. So I on purpose, I put a lot of, as you see, like phrases right in there and kind of people's quotes. And I just think sometimes just if one of them quotes just sinks in someone's head and they just go, do you know what, I'm going to try that, I'm going to do it. Just, even if you're bad at it, who gives a fuck? Who cares if you're bad at it? At least you can go back and go, I tried it. And I think there's probably, I could be wrong, but I'd say probably 80-90% of people in life have regrets. They don't try something. They hide. They're kind of, I don't want to look like a failure. And I think failure, and I'll put it in the book as well a bit, but failure is a good thing. It's a good thing for us.
You learn more. I know I learn more from failure than I do from success. It's like the successes have been great, but actually, you can carry on the consistency with it. But failure, and that's I get that's the struggle and stuff. So it's almost like with dyslexics and I mean, there's a quote that goes with ADHD is they have something like 10,000 or 20,000 critical comments or negativity up to the age of 10. So by the time, so there's no wonder they don't trust themselves, and then they start to like basically believe what everyone else is saying, and it's just got to be constant. So I think also a lot of people have lost their voice along the way because they've just, it's almost that kind of cycle. And what I'm loving with what you've done, I mean, even with because the same thing with that music, with my granddad, I remember I wasn't great there and stuff as well, but I went in when I went to fingerstyle, which is the advanced acoustic stuff. I remember people going, oh yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to reach what those guys. And again, it was just like, hold my beer. Like, I think that's the other quote, right? Hold my beer. And then I did it, and then they were just like, okay, take it back. But I didn't go into it with the approach of, right, I'm going to train, I'm going to read, I'm going to do it. I think what the approach I did with that was, I started learning a snippet of something else's, and then I went, right, that's enough. And then I just went into my own thing. I think that's a beauty of, if you wrote the book, you wrote it in your way, like way I've done my music, whatever it is and stuff, I've done it in my way. And I think it's great. There's mentors, and mentors are important. I think because you mentioned that in the book as well. And I love, you've come into my life at a certain point, and we'll talk about that in where I was like, it's like a bloody guiding light has come down, and like guardian angel or some sort of something. But I was like, Jesus. But at the same time, I was like, with musicians and influence, I was influenced a little bit, but actually, I mean, I did something bloody stupid at uni, mate. It was like a guitar recital, and I got a 20-pound old nylon guitar. Crap. Well, it was all right. And I carved a hole. This is terrible engineering, but I carved a hole at the bloody back of it, and I put a snare drum at the back of it. Didn't tape it on, and I was gonna do a guitar thing, turn it over, do a drum, and halfway through the set, I started doing this thing. I started hitting the drum, and the clips that hold the skin of the drum started pinging off everywhere, and I was like, it's turned into a whoopee cushion. I started sinking into the stage, and then I went to the lecturer's office the next day, and he was just like, yeah, it wasn't very good, was it? And I was like, no. But that was a sliding doors moment of, I could either give up my fingerstyle exploration of how to do this, or I'm going to learn how to do it properly. And that's why I learned how to put like mics and stuff in the guitar and things. But I didn't come at it from an education point of view, like intellect. What I was trying to say, intellectualized and sort of because so people who want to learn a new skill will sometimes try and educate themselves rather than that curiosity. Like, just go into it with fun and curiosity sort of stuff. And I'm trying to do it with my kids, where I'm just like, even when you were talking about money and things as well, and I was like, I actually, spending money like water. I mean, they're their age and stuff, but I was like, actually, to get them in savings, why don't we do like an investment game? Right, we go down a charity shop, get something £5, trying to turn it into 10 quid. Like that, not like sort of thing, but it's like, make it curious, make it enjoyment, but we don't have to go and learn. Like, proactiveness is great and you learn about it, but I know a lot of proactive people who don't actually become reactive. They don't actually jump in. They're too cushioned. So I'm very reactive person. I drove a bloody bike with no brakes down a grass hill when I was younger to try and go over a ramp over a barbed wire fence, but I ended up in the barbed wire fence, sort of thing. And I've had to learn to be more proactive, but I love the fact of how reactive. I just jump in, make the mistake, come out, figure it out again, right, jump in. And it's just... Yeah.
It's the best way to be. And for me personally, I'm very similar. And for any of your listeners, people that kind of thinking about, just go and do it. Just do it. I remember so this is 2012, and I'm watching the Olympics. Went to London, watched the Olympics, and I saw the rowing, and I thought, oh, I've got big legs, obviously play football, quite powerful, quite a strong person. And I'll see another story, mate. But yeah, I went, I'm just going to try the rowing. So I was like, where's the closest rowing club? Now, obviously you can tell by my accent, I kind of lived in London with my family. We're from Battersea. We moved also to the Crawley area. So rowing's quite a posh, I'd say, quite a privileged. Right. So you can imagine this. I just decided at the time, I went one day, I got up on a Saturday and I went, I'm going to go to the rowing club. I want to try out rowing, see if I'm any good at it. And I remember emailing this bloke. His name was Tarquin. See, that's how posh it was. He was called Tarquin. He said, "Oh, hello, Harry. Have you ever done that?" I said, "I've never done a day of rowing in my life." And then I think the email back was, "Come down and see what you think." So I was like, "Oh, that's an invitation. That is." I went down there. They put me in a boat, and I discovered that one-handed, my coordination was terrible. I just was going like, I look like them little boatmen you see in the lake, and they just go
around in circles.
Yeah, and I think they were looking at me going, "Well, there's this 6-foot gorilla-style man just floating around in one of our posh boats here. This is not probably ideal." So, but people went, "Oh, so where'd you come from? Did you go to university? What have you been at?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm just an engineer. I went down the road." And people just gobsmacked. They went, "Why have you turned up to a rowing club?" And I was like, I just saw it on telly, and I thought, do you know what? I think I could be good at that. Went back a week later, and I think, oh, here we go. Is this fella's turned up again? Be nice, chatting to people. And there was a couple of other people there, never done rowing. And I was like talking to them, they were like, "Oh, we just wanted to watch the video." Like me, I went, "Oh, look, there's a gang, there's three of us have. And they went, "Oh, why didn't you try being in a four, with double rowing?" And then that was it for about 2 months. On a Sunday, I used to go, and I really enjoyed it. And then they were like, "Oh, you're actually really good at this. You've got the physical capabilities of it." They went, "What do you want to do a regatta?" Like they had like a development team.
Right.
And then I was like, "Yeah, all right, then I'll try it." And then after that Sunday, I was playing football, and I got injured, and I couldn't do the regatta. And then life kind of changes, and I never went back to it. But it was just one of them things where I went, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try it just to see how I get on. And I for yourself, and it wasn't. I had no concept of rowing. I didn't know. I didn't read a book. I didn't watch lots of YouTube. Wasn't a huge thing.
No.
It wasn't an opportunity to go, well, do you know what? Like now, even my kids do it now. They're not sure about something. They go, well, I'll just YouTube it, and then 20 minutes later, they've got a diploma in how to fix something. We didn't have that.
No.
But I think from what you said, and what I've come from, I love doing that now. I love just going and experiencing things and going, I could be shit at it, I could be good at it.
Right.
If it's something I love, just embrace it, just try it. What is the worst case now? And I always use the analogy with people when they like it. And I was like, and it's a classic one, but people use, but I was like, everyone has to sit in the toilet. The king, the queen, everyone has to go to the toilet at some point. So we're all in the same position at some point in life. And I think just be embraced.
And there's no going to the toilet. There's no etiquette to any of that. So that, but that's the way, like a rowing club, or whatever it's stuff. You're like, I'm just going to cut through the bullshit here, and just like, because I'm like, once you were inspired, which you were by the Olympics, and you're like, I want to go and try it out. It's just like, no one's gonna actually stop. I don't give a shit if there's classes. I don't give a shit whatever it is and stuff as well. It's just like, I'm curious. And I think the beauty is what also with the book and stuff, there is negativity I see, like especially in a neurodivergent world. You can see a lot of people in like, it's almost becomes very tribal, and like then how to integrate into everyone's world. And it's just like, is it neurotypicals and neurodivergent? It's just like no. I think it's just like what you're sharing as well. It's like the positivity of it is going, I know, for instance, I'm 80% creative, and then I suffer 20%. Probably, like if I had 100 attributes in my life, 80 points is put towards creativity, which like society sort of, well, that's not very productive. No, but it's amazing. This is the skill I've been given in this life and stuff as well. But it means I suffer with only 20 attributes to sort of do all the other stuff, money and everything, like loads and loads of different things. But a lot of people will just focus on that 20%, and you're just like, So what I'm loving is that once you, like you said, once you can kind of find those things, even if it's just an inkling of like, you start to go, I don't know, you like films. Why don't you just do, start up a YouTube channel, like watching films and being a critic, whatever. Like, I don't know, like it can be the smallest thing. It doesn't have to be long. It just be like dip your toe in or whatever it is and stuff as well. But and that's why I think with projects, I went project to project because I was testing out lots of stuff. But obviously you hit a snag, you hit a hurdle, and that's like your marathon. You're like, you've got to break through the wall and stuff. But I think it's that passion if you've got passion for something and things as well, you know, you can get all the criticism and all the negativity in the world, but actually I think it's just like, just go with your gut, go with curious. I go with my gut first before, you know, sometimes if I'm looking for I need to go and buy something, I'll go and speak to someone else and they'll give me, because they've done all the work for me in regards to all the research. So sometimes I do it with that. But if I'm doing something that I want to do as a passion, it's just like, all right, I'm going to go walking. I'm not going to go and look at like walking lanes and everything as well. I literally go, right, I'm going to go from here and see where we're going and things as well. And I found some, you know, really lovely routes from curiosity and stuff. And it is interesting, mate. I think that the passion thing is, especially if people can tap into it. And I understand even like with students and even social media these days, they feed it in certain ways where it's talking about the negative sides of all the things all the time. It's just like, come on, let's talk about, I've had to actually change the titles of dyslexia to, this is for me, I changed the label from dyslexia. One, I can't bloody spell it all the time. Right? Which you probably point out, right? What a crazy word. To creative problem solver, my autism's the creative sculptor, and then my ADHD is the creative spark plug. And I go, that taps me into my, you know, labels are labels. And I know, you know, I've had to get ADHD, the diagnosis, to get the treatment. So I understand it from that point of view and how you also explain it to a doctor or explain it maybe to other people. But I also know when I say ADHD to other people, you're like, you can see that the response they get and stuff. Whereas I talk a lot. I understand that. So I go, instead of me calling a jabberer or a monologuer, I'm a creative talker. So I paint talking rather than it being linear and straight. So I think you're right. There's ways of, it's almost like rewind your subconscious, right? You've got certain ways to try and get more positive. And I'm having to do this in this situation at the moment, you know, we've been talking about stuff recently, but yeah, mate, it's reading your book has been, I've been really inspired by it.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. And that was the thing when I wrote the book, my wife always corrects me that, but yeah, and again, it came from that spark of, I remember it was a bit of a therapy thing at the time. I was going through a lot of things in my personal life. And there was and I've written a book of reasons why I started writing the book as well. But one of them was a bit of a FU moment, because I remember saying to someone, I was like, I'm going to write a book. And I went, well, you can't write a book, you're dyslexic.
Right.
And I was a bit like, well, that's just fine, I'm going to now. And like you said, I went against probably every author's structure of how you would write, but I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go to a class or anything, but I found a mentor, found someone who had written a book. And I said to them, how did you write your book? And they kind of go, well, this is what I did. And I was like, right, a snippet. I took little nuggets of what I thought, okay. And then I just started doing one. And as you can see in the book, we talked about before, about audio. So I've written it how, I remember when I went to the publishers, they went, oh, do we want to change kind of your style? Because your style is quite rough and it's quite hard for people to read. And I remember coming home to my wife, girlfriend at the time, wife, and I was like, they want me to change the style. They want me to, and she went, but then it's not you. She said the whole concept of the book is for someone to read it, know you and go, oh yeah, this person's proper dyslexic, which is great. But to go, oh, I feel like, and hopefully you maybe got this, obviously you met me, so maybe that it tweaks or influences it slightly. But when I want people to read it, I want them to be digested, involved in it, to go, oh, I sound like I'm just having this person, I'm having a conversation with them. I'm with that person in a room and then chat. And that style of the book, I wanted it to people, for me to, wherever they were, is someone to go, oh, someone gets me, someone understands me. But at the same time, it's just as if I was in the room with them having a chat. It's not, like you said, when you read it, you'll be able to tell this more me, but the way I've put it together and the way I've tried to structure it, it is literally a case of you'd think, oh, we talk about a coffee and I'm chatting with that person and I've gone, well, this come up in my brain and this is what maybe it might look like, or this is what happened to me. And someone might put it down and then go, oh, do you know what? I just feel like I've been sitting, I don't know, in a room with a person for an hour or two.
Yeah.
And I take to read, or you come out of it hopefully going, yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to try one of these random things that he said and see how it progresses, and hopefully it gives people a bit of light. And that was the whole idea of it, in terms of wanted, for one, my expression, but for someone to read it to go, I'll be all right. I'll find a way. He's hopefully engaged in some form of their lab. And interesting as well, a lot of people are non-dyslexics have read the book. And it's helped them understand. So a few people said to me, I don't know how you get on day to day when you start hearing stuff, and they kind of feel a bit
in a empathetic.
Nice. But also at the same time, you're a bit like, kind of, that's not the idea of the book. It's never kind of a biography or anything, that kind of stuff. Because obviously I'm not that important. Do you know what I mean? So, but the same time was people kind of gone, oh, thanks, because I never knew. Everyone just in their head goes, this is ADHD, this is dyslexia, and that's what. And the problem with now is social media, and I think there's kind of a bit of a revolution going on. But is it a fad? Is it a trend? Because you hear so many people now, oh, I've got ADHD. Well, who diagnosed you? And it's kind of, oh, myself. I've got all the traits. And you're going, hold on a second. You can't join the club. There's not a free membership in the terms of you join and you get your disc Walkman. You get that doesn't happen. It's a hard graft to join this membership. It's not just an easy. So I find at the moment with that, you get a lot of people go, well, I'm dyslexic, which is fantastic. If you generally think you've got some of these symptoms, I put in a book, go and get tested. It's really expensive. It's something I've been trying to kind of
counter about.
But it's great if you generally think you've got that because you've got these struggles and you're struggling in life, and it is a struggle. Go and find some way to get it. That's brilliant, and that makes it feel really kind of emotional and deep for me for people to do that. But I have found, which is hard now, that people go, oh, you're just on the neurodivergent bandwagon, and you're like, no, this is with the hard graft and the life, it's stuck forever. It's not a trend, it's not a shoe.
It's in some ways, I mean, if I had a choice, and it's a difficult thing. If I had a choice, do you know what? I'd love the positives of what, condition, or whatever we want to call them and stuff as well. But the things that actually cause, the struggle, and the things, that you've got to like almost work 4 or 5 times harder than an average person to get, just a relatively normal life, whatever things as well. That is a path. But at the same time, I suppose, would I give up the resilience? Would I give up the things as well? It's like saying, if you had the choice, would you? I suppose I'll put it to you and stuff as well. Like, would you give it up?
Do you know what? Now, no. It makes me me. It makes me my uniqueness, and it makes, I think, the resilience and the struggles and the things that. If you'd asked me that question
early on,
at 21, 22, I would have gone, please take it away.
Yeah.
Take it away from me. Let me feel what it's like to read a book, or be normal, as people say, normal brain, as they call it. But now, no, it is me. It's my personality. It's what makes me me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that embracement. And like I said to you before, it's telling people now. But I think, not so your cards you're dealt with, but I always say to people, especially younger people, because they had the same question. They asked me the question in some you do schools, and they're like, oh, what would you do if he wasn't? And I went, I'd probably be quite a boring person because it makes me who I am. It makes me think of these crazy, like my wife, my sister, eventually you're going to come in and we're going to take over a country. At some point, you're going to come in and go, look, I've discovered this. I'm going to do this now. She goes, but that's you. That's what I love about you, because you are off the scale of it. Like holidays, I do obviously our finances. I book our holidays if we're going somewhere. Like she'll go, what are we doing Friday? And I'll be like, I found a 1950s random Cuban bar in London, and we're going to go and do that. And she's like, how did you find this out? Why, where did this in your brain? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I'll probably watch something. I went, that's it, I'm going to now find out if there is somewhere. And next thing you know, we're in a Cuban bar stuck in 1950s, drinking cocktails on a Friday evening. And she's like, I love that about you, because she just hasn't got that in her.
Well, you haven't also, I love, there's, what would you call it? So neurotypical or no, whatever it is. I mean, everyone's got sort of different things and stuff as well. But I think it's like filters. When we have the filters that are off, which can be good and bad. I know, and I can also understand it'll be good and bad, especially when you've got no money and then you impulsively, you can stack up credit. You know, also it can start to really, really catch on fire and become a tornado. But that, like you said, that kind of curiosity to or enthusiasm, and also, I mean, it's like I call it fireball energy. Like you can't, if someone comes in my inferno of my creative world, like, and they try to put like ring fence the bloody fireball, I'm like, I don't mean to do this, but you're going to get burnt because you can't sustain it and stuff as well. It's just going to bubble. It's like putting a bloody Mentos into a Coke, fizzing up Coke bottle and stuff. That's why impulsive stuff comes out. Like probably like you were talking earlier, when we've got something that we want to say and then someone's in the middle of talking, right? If we don't say it, we forget it. That's why it has to come out. And then I'm the same. I'm like, I forget what they're talking about because it starts to come blurry. And I'm like bubbling. And I say the thing. And if they're understanding, they get it. But if obviously they're not, then it's just like, oh, you're not listening. It's just like, don't mean to do that. But I think that's the same with that. If you then apply that to something that you're passionate about, or you see something, or like what you did with either sports, you can connect dots. You can there's patterns like stuff as well. And you mentioned that in the book and stuff as well. And I think when you, instead of trying to focus on the negatives that happen all the time of it, well, what if you just start clocking the positives with it and stuff at the same time? It's like actually start to counter it. And that's what I probably feel like what you've done over time. It's just like you've started to see actually the positive effect of what this dyslexia can do for you, rather than back in the day or up to your 20s, like you said, that how much negativity was probably, it's the way the scales of, balance, rebalance themselves as such.
Massively. And I think in society that has happened as well. Now there's so much more opportunity. There's so many more learning support, which is fantastic and amazing. But again, as we said, the beauty of it is how I met you. So that is again, I'd say most normal people would not go, do you know what? On Boxing Day, I'm going to get a live musician in and have friends and family round and do a party. Most people never done.
Yeah. Right, it's unorthodox. It's different, right. Yeah.
And I remember saying to my wife, I was like, on to a party on Boxing Day. And she's like, what's wrong? We've just had Christmas. Holiday, kids, food. Christmas is a very expensive time in life. And I was like, I want to do a party. And she was like, why? Why on Boxing Day? And I was like, I just want to have a big party because, it might not ever happen again. So she went, all right, then, you get on with it. That's it. And then so I started doing the research. And for you, I remember, so I saw your video of money, and I was like, oh, I love that. And then I do it all the time. I know we went back earlier about sometimes you just go for things and you do it. Obviously, when you want people and you want someone to come into your house and your life, and so like, who is this person? Who is Jon? And then I remember as soon as I saw the neurodivergent, I was like, bang, oh, okay. So what's going on in this locker? What's in this? And I imagine, best way I can explain it, it's like someone's got a toy box. And you go, what's in Jon's toy box? I want to see where he's at. And it just resonated. And I was like, this is who I want. This is the person, because I want the person who's going to be fun, be on the same wavelength. And then kind of when you build your friendships and families and stuff now, because it's not just blood families, it's you bring people in and you kind of go, that's my kind of person. That's the person I want to, not just because they're talented, but just listening to them, like, little things you said, obviously the podcast. I was like, I want to know who this person is. I want to find out about them. And then obviously you can do across that, but hopefully, when you came to mine and the day and the way it is and how it's just relaxed, and hopefully you felt very welcome and relaxed. But that's what I try and create for people. I try and use, as we said earlier about that, using your skills and the qualities you have, is just making people feel comfortable, feel welcomed, and you get the best performance, I think, out of people when they feel a part of something.
Yeah,
definitely. They might be a part of it for 30 seconds or 30 years. It doesn't matter what difference it is. It's like, even my wife says to me sometimes, like, you can be really brutal, but you are super friendly sometimes. She's like, you just bring people in. You said it's like random, like we go on holiday. She's like, stop talking to people. But I'm like, it's not me, it's them talking to me. But before, after a 2-week holiday, we've met 4 different groups of couples. I've joined the volleyball, water polo team. I've gone on the quiz, and the games person that does the entertainment thing, sticking me up, and I've got a coconut on my head and dancing around the table. And she goes, but I don't go, oh, that's what I want to do when I'm on holiday. I don't talk to anyone. I want to read a book, drink cocktails, and swim and do nothing else. But for some reason, it just seems to happen. And as a skill and a strength, it's that thing where you just want to bring people in, and like yourself. And it made it amazing. Boxing Day was so much fun.
It was because the thing, right? So going back, even with that money video, right? I remember it took me 6 months to put that cover together. Even going, I'm going to do a cover which is, you strip away looping or backing tracks and everything as well, and you're going to do it like this. I don't think I would have been able to achieve that if I didn't have a neurodivergent brain, because I would have gone, no, that's, you would have put red tape around it. Like, that's what I feel a lot of people do. Oh, there's an idea. No, mate. No. I don't. I think, it's just like, do you know what? I remember, and it was the Boxing Day a few years ago after Christmas, where I went, oh, I remember growing up with Dark Side of the Moon by Dad. Dad played it in the car and stuff. What? Oh, money and stuff. Okay. So I did the intro, and then I remember on Boxing Day grabbing my father-in-law's guitar, and I just was there forever and ever and ever and ever, because I didn't think about the grueling now. I just thought, I can't wait for this at the end of whatever, and I didn't care how long it takes. But I don't know whether it was subconscious, but in some ways, obviously seeing the musician and obviously going to the neurodivergent musician stuff, do you ever see, like, when you see like skills like that, in some ways, not that you even knew it was neurodivergent, but like there's sometimes, like, we call them superpowers and stuff as well, but we can achieve like Richard Branson or whatever these guys, they go up to space and stuff as well. They go, there's obviously steps and stuff in between. There's dots that you've got to connect, but their vision from the start is, I'm going to get into space. Right. No, we'll figure it out wherever it is and stuff. And I think even talking to yourself, as soon as I got to the gig, now I'd just gone through a really grueling year and all sorts of stuff as well. And trying to turn up to a gig, and you're like, okay, got to park that. But we also know we can't park emotions, right? Like, yeah, they're part of us all the time. And you're like, okay. But as soon as I started talking to yourself, I was calm, because I was like, I was, working, with other people around the room and everything as well. But I knew straight away, we had a chat, and I knew I had to set up. But we were like, I don't know, 5 minutes in, and it was just going all around the place. I was like, oh, mate, you don't realize actually how much you've just grounded the plane of how I was probably like sort of feeling and stuff. And also the atmosphere, everything as well. But it was, it was a really, I loved also the concept of Boxing Day. You've influenced me to go, because I was like, Boxing Day, I was like, it's almost like Unboxing Day in a way that obviously there was some presents and stuff as well. It's like, this is brilliant. You get a second wind, because Christmas can sometimes be Christmas dinner and then lull, and then, it's like a formula people go through. I was like, but Boxing Day normally is like, oh, let's just do the leftovers. It's that kind of like aftermath of Christmas Day, but you made it like, no, we're going to switch it on its head, and we're going to almost make it like New Year's Eve in some ways.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I remember doing the gig, and it was like, this is great. And people, watching or whatever it is and stuff. And then when we went outside, we had a chat, and obviously you gave me the book and stuff, and I was excited to read it and stuff. But I remember, obviously, we can delve into however it is and stuff here, but you were talking about, so my situation, separation, divorce. And then I was like, okay, I'm trying to do this after 20 years. And I'm like, what the hell? And for someone who goes through, especially neurodivergent, who feels things immensely, and you've been maybe had your foundation at one point, I suppose when you were in your 20s, had you moved away from your folks by that point?
Yeah, so
like a foundation, like once the foundations go, you haven't got like home, or you haven't got stuff as well. Like I was in the middle of that, but then obviously talking to yourself, which we can go into, you had said that happened to me 7 years ago, and then what you achieved. I don't know what you can go into as much as you want, mate, of that conversation. I know it was private and stuff as well, but it really, like, the whole gig and the whole thing was amazing, but that ending of it was like, what the fuck? This is like a light just came down. It's just like, you're 7 years ahead of me. Or 8 years ahead of me. And I was just like, right, actually, this is not just a one-off performance. It's not a one-time thing. We got to, keep connecting and stuff as well. But yeah, let's dive into that or sort of things, because it was just really inspiring.
So I moved out pretty young, to be honest, because I kind of wanted, as we kind of delved into earlier, that that success. I wanted to have money. I wanted to have my own house, because as a young age, my parents, they've done an amazing job and give you the foundations, but I don't come from a wealthy family. We're quite poor really in that sense. So it was always a driving force for me to go, right, I want to do better for myself. And in my head at the time was to buy a house. So I bought a house pretty young, met a partner at the time who's the mother of my son. And yeah, obviously had an accident, broke my leg, and a lot of things kind of raveled in relationships, kind of late kind of 20s really. And yeah, then I had to move back home on a mattress. That was all I had to my name. It was a mattress, and kind of start all over again. And I look back now, obviously, a fantastic life I have now, and kind of some of that is manifestation, and some people can go on to what you want to drive and things you need. But you look back at it and you go, from your point of view, we said that earlier, accountability and responsibility. You sit and you think, I didn't probably maybe communicate or articulate myself properly, which affects a relationship, which...
communication, man. That's
because as we said earlier, you spend your whole life not doing it, not telling anyone anything, and then they expect it to then change. And I took that kind of shit from it for me to sit there and go, I've learned that lesson out of that relationship. There's lots of other factors that are involved. So it wasn't just one.
Yeah.
But when I started again, the creativity is, I'm on my arse.
Did you feel it was did you feel it was, you were processing at the same time? Were you aware it was a massive reset button? Like a big, obviously.
Not a bit. I had some very sort of sales. I had some very serious lows, but I look at it now as the best thing that ever happened to me. And people go, why would you say it's the best thing that's happened to you? But it gave me the ownership and the freedom to go, right, I've got to design the life I want. This has happened. This is the life I've had. That is now, and it sounds brutal when people listening, but oh my God, we've gone from super positive to very dark. But that life dies to a certain degree, and that person dies, because if you look at the 15-year-old Jon to the 25-year-old Jon to the 35-year-old, are very different human beings. And same for me, and I got to a stage where at 30 years old, I'm a different person than I was 10 years before, which is natural for most people. But I think when you are learning about yourself and you're learning to be braver, to tell people you're dyslexic, to tell people ADHD, to tell people that you are a certain person and this is how you feel, it's not a rise of a phoenix, a freedom, but you go, well, I've hit the bottom. The only way is up. You've got to and I think everyone in life, sadly, I've been experiencing with other people in life, they hit their rock bottom and they don't come back, which is, awful. And you have all these mixed emotions of sadness, frustration, and you kind of like, why couldn't they kind of battled more? And then you have a lot of people that then rise to it and improve and have a different life, and they look back and go, yeah, I needed that. And I think we all do. I think everyone at a certain point in life needs
sort of recalibration, right?
Yeah, and I think his perspective needs to sit there and go, I've got a vision or an idea of how I want my life to look now. And that's where I go, like we talked about earlier, you might not get to where you want to. It might not be perfect. It might not be you know what A is and you'll know what Z is, but you don't know what all the others there in the middle are. And you get people to support you on the way and help you and build that. You have these visions in your head, and this is how I want my life to look. And you will get there at some point. And I didn't believe that even myself, honesty. I didn't sit there and think, you know, them kind of things happen. And then in the nicest way, I've done all these things to get, and it has happened. I'm here in this position now where I'm going, I love my life. I love, you know, there's always challenges, and I think you need that.
Definitely.
With listeners, you're always going to have, I think people have got to get over I mean, it's obviously in the book, but a fellow I listened to is very good, Les Brown, who's a kind of a positive kind of speaker, and he takes snippets, but he was like, you leave one challenge and move into another. And that is like, you need resistance. If life was hunky and dory all the time and perfect, there's no challenge. You lose that challenge, and you need that kind of resistance a little bit.
It's like sport, right? It's the same as sport. If you're a goal down, if you're a point down, tennis. I remember Federer just going, look, I just went, if I lost a point, I then focus on the next point. And obviously, I think you might not necessarily be able to do that right at the beginning because you don't have the experience and the awareness and the skills and tools and stuff as well. But actually, my big lesson, mate, has been I've got to get a team around me. Yeah. Right. So that team around me is like, you know, my mate now, Steve is bless him and stuff as well. You know, he's become like accountability partner on my finances. So I meet with him every Monday, and all he does is you know, we went for a beer last night and stuff as well, and we're just literally just going, so what's going on here? Right, these are your tasks for the next week, or whatever it is. We discussed it and stuff, but as I make it a game, it's like, right, I've got to go and target like 5 people to try and see if I can get work or get money and stuff as well. And it's just like, it doesn't always have to also be mundane, black and white, great. You can turn things into a game. It's like the game of life when we were growing up, sort of board game and stuff as well. It's just like, but do it in your way that you feel is comfortable with yourself. Use the creativity, or I don't know, whatever it is. And that's where I think these abilities or things as well, actually thinking outside the box, like, right, okay, everyone's down this interview route and they're going down this way, like for a job or something like that. Well, why don't you just like come in and just come from a completely different angle and see what happens and stuff. I suppose is when you were at your rock bottom and you were starting to climb out, is that where you felt that your brain was able to, like, I don't know, had the ability to think outside the box and do other ways and stuff as well?
Yeah, I think it's always there. It's always there. Each individual has that, I think, in them, but it's obviously bringing that out. I think you get to a point of desperation a little bit where you're going, well, I need to solve a problem. If it's fine, same as I was, you need to solve how am I going to do that? Let's find a way. What can I do? What skills have I got? What abilities can I go and find a way to earn some money? Another route. And you do need, and I tell this for people, that you can't do it on your own. That is an absolute fallacy. You hear these people going, I'm a self-made millionaire or stuff like that. Bollocks. Absolute.
Branson doesn't do it. Richard Branson apparently hires a project manager for 3 months. He works with the project manager for 3 months, and then he disconnects and then goes to a singing. So just leave the plate spinning. So it's a site. He's never. I mean, he doesn't just run Virgin on his own.
And you need that. So you hit it now. You've done a great thing there, which I've done myself. Where if you are in that position and you're in that boat now, and it doesn't matter if you've got one of these gifts or you're just a general day-to-day life, surround yourself with the people that are going to be good for you. And I remember someone always saying to me, you are the 5th person of the 5 people you know, or something like that. And it kind of stuck in the sense I went, well, okay, if I hang around with 5 drug addicts, I'm going to probably become the 6th drug addict. If I'm going to hang around with 5 alcoholics. I'm going to probably become the sixth alcoholic.
Right.
So it kind of stuck in my head going, well, I've got to surround myself with people that I want to be. And it doesn't have to be people you like either. This is something I learned that you take. So, for example, I remember the time I broke my leg, I put loads of weight on, self-esteem rock bottom, right at the left. And I knew someone for many years, and they're in the book. And I was like, right, and I took touch base to them, and they were very brutal with me. And they went, well, if you want to train and decide, there's a program, come and talk to me in 3 months. Don't bother me until you come back in 3 months. So you'd think, well, that's not really a good friend, is it? And I was like, well, it is, because someone's gone, stop fucking about. There's 3 months, there's your target. If you do this, then I'll invest in you. I was like, time. Same as you kind of get some hard truths sometimes, and it is great to have people around you who are motivated and positive. Support.
Yeah.
It's also good to have people give you a bit of a reality check and go, well, you're in this position, you are where you're at, what are you going to do about it? And you kind of go, well, I can't ask them for the answers, but what you can do is learn of their experience. That someone might say to them, well, this is where I am. You go, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to look like that. So what actually, you've done A, B, and C. I ain't doing any of them. I'm going to go and do E over here because that will stop me being A, B, and C. And you kind of use that. There are people that not everyone is a mentor for good, not for, backing you and going, Jon, you're amazing, Jon. Is that, or Andy, yeah, well, I'll back you all the way. It's sometimes you look at people and go, oh, I don't want to look like that person. I don't want to be in that person's boat. They are still a mentor. They are still someone because they're mentoring you not to do that thing. Go down that path. And you need that in your life. You need to have people in all different aspects, not just for someone to go, you're amazing, well done, keep going, but the reality checks that you need, the accountability, the ownership to take for yourself, but also to look, I don't even understand, but obviously I've got brothers and sisters. Obviously I'm the youngest. So they've done loads of stupid stuff and I've gone, well, I ain't doing that because look what happened, what was the result? So being that kind of way of looking for people to go, well, I see a friend or I see someone I know and they've gone down that route, they've already painted the picture for you. They've already shown you the door and gone, this is what you could win if you do, and you'll go, oh, no, shut that door for me.
Yeah.
That's still a mentor, and I think people forget that. People forget they're trying to strive for someone who's made, which is nice. You got a vision, you got a plan, and you go, well, I want a snippet of what they've got. But you need to have that full kind of circle, that compass of, right, if I go down these routes, turntables, you might want to, that's going to end that path. And I think that's a great thing for anyone listening to, if they want to help or they're at rock bottom or they're in a position where they're struggling. And it does, and sadly, as we go back to it, when I've done my research, I think it was something ridiculous at the time, like 1 in 4 dyslexic people take their own lives.
Yeah, it's as bad with ADHD.
I think it's 1 or 2 in 5 people go to prison. And you're sitting there going, there is a fundamental truth in that. There's a reason why. And that's where kind of these conversations are hopefully massively empowering for someone to kind of get some reality checks, to get positives and it's good and it's okay. But also to go, it's going to be tough. There's going to be challenges. It's going to be resistant. And you've already gone through the hardest parts because you are living with it daily. You are you are who you are. And you have all these outside noises and negative things that come into place, but use them, embrace them negative things to go, actually, that's the path. Game it, sit there and go, well, if I'm hearing more negative than positive, then maybe I'm hanging out with the negative too much. I need to start positive. Yeah. So that means changing your environment, changing sometimes maybe who you hang around with. Also, being brave enough to tell people, because like I said, we discussed briefly earlier, I love doing it now because I like seeing the reaction of someone going, are they going to be supportive and go, oh, okay, I'll help you then with that. Or, oh, okay, that's cool. Or you get someone's answer, like I've been in business meetings where It's one of the kind of the first things I always say to someone, well, explain that to me like I'm a 6-year-old, because I can't read what you put on the PowerPoint because I'm dyslexic. And you'll get someone who'll go, oh, shit, I've got to now articulate myself in a different way, because they don't care about my 27 PowerPoint with graphs and numbers and data, because they're going, I don't really give it in a different solution to me. And so you'll see how someone who will be embracing that and go, okay, I've got to find which then in business you're going, well, I need that type of person, because you need someone
who's not fixed, right? If they're fixed and they're fixing their lane, you're like, mate, you haven't got the open, adaptive kind of approach.
We've got to work together. It's not going to happen because you're too rigid in what I need. And business, it only works the same as life. It's being flexible, bouncing. We're in a position at the moment where life is tough for lots of people. Actually, we're probably going on a tangent here, but you've got unrest, you've got all these things happening, which people don't know what's around the corner, and it is a life cycle. And things do happen over. I've done that myself a little bit. But you kind of look at relationships, you look at history, you look at stuff to go, well, what's going on in the world? And for people that struggle with day-to-day reading newspapers, watching the telly, it's scary. It's really scary. They're kind of going, well, what's the next term? What do I do? What is right? What is not right? And it's like the little bits we touched on with money, when I said in the book about just setting up no one ever told me about stocks and shares when I was younger. No one. It was something you saw on telly, some Wall Street banker with some braces on it. You saw smoking a cigar. Or news at 10 with Trevor McDonald, or there's a banking crisis. You're going, I don't know, it's not my bank account over here, because they don't understand. But even things like that is protecting people. People don't understand with money, to go, okay, set up, just put some money away, just set an account, pick some, funds that you really enjoy, and just teaching people. I put in a book about just put in a little bit, even if it's then 10 years later or 5 years later, and you've got £5,000. That's £5,000 more than you. Definitely. Gives you a small comfort, because, like I said, personally for me as a young boy, I was always panicking, going, how am I going to get a job? How am I going to get money? How am I going to feed myself? Am I going to be even able to do any of them things, because I can't read and write? And these are not some people listen to this and go, well, that sounds mad. But it's not. When you can't read and write, you're going, to them, they can't understand that. But for us, you're sitting there going, that is my life. That is how it is. So I can't go to the shop and pick the thing that you've asked me to, because I don't know what it is, because I can't read the thing. Or you've got change in your hands and someone's going, well, that's £12.37 and that's £4.63. And you're going, I don't know how much that is. Are you taking a mickey? Are you...
But and it's the same with when you're, that moment there is when your car gets declined, because you've got no money. It's like there's a moment of you're holding up everybody. By holding up everybody, you're disrupting their life, and that's where if you talk about the emotion that goes behind those situations, you go, I'm not just letting down myself here, I'm letting down everyone out, like everyone. And then that becomes guilt, shame, everything as well. And then you're just like, there's no wonder where then you're getting yourself into this spiral, the cycle, all sorts of stuff as well of negativity, because it's the negatives outweighing the positives all the time. Like, I always found some reason like negativity used to be so much stronger than positive. But you're right. I think it's the people, it's the environment, it's everything. That if in the environment you're in, are you actually enjoying where what you're doing, where you're living? Like, is the room that you're in, like, I don't know, all these things. And then it's the environment also includes the people, also includes the tribe, also includes the group of people that you've got around you. And I think you're right in regards to even my relationship, even the way my health, everything is all just gone crashed. And but I was doing it solo. I jumped ship from bands. I did everything as well. I was like, no, I'm going to do it on my own. I was like, no wonder you're isolated. So you weren't talking to people. You're not doing these things and stuff as well. And so now it's just like gone, actually, no, I need to get people who've got my best interests. And like, obviously those people, you're right as well, with mentors who will just tell it straight and things as well, straight down the middle, and kind of getting a variety of people. and things as well, that, finding different ways. Obviously there's tools, there's also certain things as well. I mean, I use ChatGPT for everything and processing, because I'm like, if I keep it in my head, it builds up and builds up like I've got a bloody wasp, wasp nest going on and stuff as well. And if I don't verbally process it or don't let it out, because that's also, that could be classed as a disability, but I know it's just me letting off a valve. Otherwise it becomes a bloody nuclear reactor sort of thing. So I have to release it. So do I do that with people? Well, sometimes I chew their ears off and stuff as well. Okay, do I want to do that? I'm also, so I'm going to do like ChatGPT, or I'm going to do it here, or I'm going to upload it there. So that's awareness. So rather than seeing the negatives all the time with it, like for instance, if you were in the supermarket and you couldn't read it, it's just like, well, I remember there's a books and film called like Percy Jackson. Obviously it's like geared towards teenagers and stuff, but he's dyslexic, but he can actually, they turn it on his head. And I think my daughter experienced one of her friends when she, again, the response when you get to tell other people, some other people's obviously reactions, but she remember one friend saying, "Oh, you're just like Percy Jackson, and Percy Jackson's a hero." So all that kind of stuff. You can do this. I know you can't read, but yet you've got the ability to be able to see things, not one-sided. You can see it multi-shaped. You can do this, and visual stuff. And you mentioned that. I think I can't remember which part it was. Maybe it was a mind, strengths, and set. And then I've just finished. I'm on habits and tactics, but there was bits about that. Even with the gym, mate, I was like, because I used to hate, like, I didn't quite like going in the gym and things. Well, again, it's just like, okay, I'm scrawny and everything as well. It's almost like musician, like just like skin and bones sort of thing. And I like, if I go on my own, I'm in my own head and stuff. But if I go with someone else who's got that accountability and everything as well, you're doing it as a, together, and actually they're getting benefits from it and stuff as well. So that's where I've learned with getting a group round you, where it doesn't always also have to be about me. It can be mutual, beneficial in some ways, that we're helping each other and doing those sort of certain things. If we're going for a walk together, well, we're both helping each other. If we go to the gym together, we're both helping each other. So that's been a really powerful thing. And also meeting like yourself and other people who have got dyslexia, ADHD, and autism. Like, how did this come up in your life? And when you talk about your stuff, I was like, shit, this is actually can cut out loneliness. And I think loneliness and isolation, right? That's what people, they don't think there's other people, sort of stuff. So
and I know we've touched on it briefly. It's something that then, when someone said something to you, and it kind of,
well, that's it. Yeah.
And I don't think, I could be wrong. So I do say it to you now, but I don't think there is anywhere in the world where you have AA for people, you have Drugs Anonymous, and you have, obviously I don't want to be anonymous, but you have cultures and you have different groups and stuff. But I don't know if there's actually, you have like, I see stuff like dyslexic awareness and stuff like that, and it's fantastic. But a kind of grassroots level, to a certain degree, there isn't, I don't think, and it's something maybe someone may collaborate with them, is I'd like to maybe set up some kind of group where you could just have these, sit in a room, just have a conversation with someone, because there is, isolation is a part of it. I've learned this myself, because when you think about it, you look back and go, well, of course you're going to be quite an isolated individual, because when you're younger, I said before when we spoke about, you're on your own. No one really understands it, even your own parents, even your own siblings, unless you've got it, you are on your own, stuck in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people say to me, "Oh, so what is it that," and you're sitting there going, "Well, I know what's in my brain, I can't get it on paper." But it's exactly the same as vocal communication as well. It's in your brain, and you're going, because I imagine people listening to this now, they're going, "Oh, I do that." Amount of time you'd sit there and there'd be like a question and an answer, and you go, "I know that, but I'm too frightened to say it." And when you're dyslexic, you're too frightened to talk to people. You don't want people to find out. I don't want someone to suss out that I can't do this. So you make any excuse possible, like we discussed before. So you then come up to your whole life, even adulthood, you get to a point it gets more isolated, because you do, like I said earlier, you stop going to restaurants. I stopped going to restaurants for a period of time because I didn't want people to find out. So I was just isolating myself. You don't go out, maybe, well, I didn't do it, but you don't go out on dates. You don't go meet your friends because they don't know. You haven't told them and you're embarrassed. And I even met a gentleman a while back where he was so afraid to tell his wife. He went and got tested all on his own, secretly, for, I can't read to my kids. So I got 2 kids. And he was like, I can't read to my kids. I always kind of shy away from it. I don't do their homework. And I remember chatting to him, and he said, I found out I've got dyslexia and I've got to go home and tell them all. And I was like, you're not having an affair. You're not cheating. But that's how he felt. He felt that shame. He was like, I'm going to go, she's going to leave me. And I was like, she's not going to leave. If she does leave you, then there's your point. You shouldn't be there. But that's the people that don't understand. They don't grasp how crippling it is inside. And it's something that hopefully moving forward, obviously, the aware, but maybe it's something that you just have a coffee group, or do you know what I mean? Or maybe we'll sell coffee a different way, like cake.
Put an X in it.
But maybe set something up where just people just can turn up and just go, this has happened to me today, and you go, great. But, I mean, it's happened to me before. Someone goes, oh, actually, yeah, well, at least someone else knows how I feel.
It's almost like, this happened to me today. How many of this happened to you? And everyone just puts their hands up. And then it's just dissolved, right? That one little thing, because you've got, not validation, it's more just...
Connection.
Yeah, connection. Definitely connection. And a way of understanding as well. When you've got someone else who understands exactly, like we've been talking now, and it's just like, crap. Oh yeah. This is this. Maybe different timelines. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing of that same experience and stuff as well. And even if someone, like you said, like who's not diagnosed yet, and they want to go in the process and stuff. So, and they might be going, oh, is that me? Like that. They haven't obviously self-diagnosed. They might be curious about, crap, have I been living with dyslexia? So they've got to go through the process. It's just like, even someone who's gone through it and things as well. It's got, actually, you doing the book was me doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So I did a talking therapy. I was just talking to myself. I was doing solo episodes before I opened out to guests, and that's, I did the album. But they're almost like creative outlets of like, right, okay, we produced something with our abilities or whatever it is and stuff as well. And like, you've inspired me to do a book now, mate. Like in a way, I'm like, okay, well, in a way, it's just like, actually, this is brilliant, because I loved also the approach you did to it with talking, in regards to recording and things as well. And I was like, that's why I did a podcast, because I didn't want to go and write blogs. I was just like, oh, screw that. Again, it's like, dyslexia thing. No, visual, make it, and also not make it interview, make it more, we're going around the houses. And even if we go, actually, where are we now? It's like, that's just neurodivergence down to a T, right?
Yeah, so if we did set up a K coffee group, half of us would never get it. We'd always be doing this to each other. But
3 hours later as well, after we had the conversation, right?
Maybe this would be a residential. This would be a 4-day event. So, but no, that's great. No, if you do write, but it's brilliant. But you said a verbal. So, like, for example, I remember I started doing a bit of dictator for the book, because I was writing. As you can imagine, you're exhausted. Writing just one page is quite mentally draining, because you're going through 2 different areas. You're going through emotional memory, cognitive, kind of going back to times that you don't want to go back to, but they're really important for the reader. But at the same time, you're writing a page, you're thinking, oh, I'm fucking knackered now. So I started doing a little bit of audio. But the problem I was finding, which is great, you do the audio, and then I found out really quick, I think it was American. It was really good. I can't remember, someone said, oh, try this out. It might be in the publishers. And then you put all the audio in, you have to play at a time, and you put the audio, and then it transcripts it out, and then you can just transfer it over.
Right. And
I was like, this is a game changer for me. But the problem is I'd start the audio, I'd put it in there, it would not understand half the things I've said. It would come back out onto the Google or onto the Word document, and I'll start reading and go, I don't really understand that bit. I can't remember what the words were for that bit, so I can't go back. So is that crazy element where I was stuck in this limbo and going, oh, I'm getting it all out verbally, it's working, but then it's transcribing, and it's right. It's like Transformers. It was going, I ain't got a clue what this bloke's talking about, And you go, I can't read my own writing because I don't even know what the spelling is for it. So I'm trying to put words in. Like you said, it's that game where you go in. It's like, who was it said to me? I was laughing and they were like, well, we'll just use spell checker. And I was like, yeah, but you don't get it. I can't spell the word. I don't even know how to get close to the words to do the spell checking.
Right. Oh, and it's painful, so painful. And because that also then disrupts your flow, right?
Yeah.
When you're in a flow and you're like, I don't even know what I bloody hell was talking about because I've been stuck on this word for like the last 30 seconds. And you have to go to Google, type it in, and then I'm like, by the time I've copied it, paste it over, I'm like, I don't even know what I was talking about.
Doing, yeah. But I think with my kids do, they laugh at me sometimes. So I do read something. So when I was the kind of special needs correctional unit, learning centre, they used to do this thing, they used to put a mirror. So this is mad now, you think, oh my God, but they used to put a mirror in front of your face. And you used to have to learn to use your tongue. So though, this, that, they,
right.
Which I can't do today. But now if I'm reading something, I can't instinctively, I go, and my kids go, why are you poking your tongue out? What are you doing? I'm like, for me, I can't even spell any of them words still. I just make it up.
Right.
I still can't hear any of the vowels. But it's just little things like that make you laugh. And I'll be looking at something, and my missus going, there. And she goes, how do you know it's there? And she's like, I can see your tongue poking out, and I know which one you're looking for. But, oh, thanks, babe.
But yeah, it's so interesting, like especially with even that sort of the verbal side of it, because I've actually been using the voice memos app on iPhone because they got a transcript thing now on it, and I when I start talking to people and it goes really long, I think I was like trying to send a message about. I did a walk with my support worker and I was like, right, I want to explain everything as well. And I decided to put the voice memo recording on. I was like, okay, I'll just let it go. And then I finished everything. I went to go and look at it. It was 30 minutes. I was like, bloody hell, I'm not going to send a 30-minute voice memo to this. But it's got a transcript built into it. And it's a free app. I was like, okay, cool. This is a good exercise. And I brought it over to ChatGPT. I was like, right, you just summarize for this for me stuff. But if I had to write it out for her, I would not be able to get all the stuff that I'd said because there's all the filler words. It's what I call fluff and filler. Yeah. And a lot of people keep that in their heads. They just tell you, neurotypical things as well. They can tell you the straight lines, the sentences, and then all the filler words are maybe up there. Maybe they don't have filler words. But I've had to do now where when I'm talking to someone who I need to be straight-laced, I have to draw or I have to play my guitar. Because my guitar, when I'm playing, is the filler words, and then I start to. So there's little strategies of doing it and stuff. But most of the time, I like to have a conversation like this because we're like, doesn't matter about filler words, doesn't matter about if you're all over the place and we've jumped. I call it the verbal express bus ride. You come out of the station, you see all the colours and textures and all the people. We're explaining all of that, whereas most people are on the tube. When they have a conversation, it's just dull. It's just one straight laced. It's linear. And that's small talk. That's fine. I get small talk and stuff as well. And we've had to learn to do it. But I would prefer to go, if I know someone, I'm like, can we bypass small talk and just go straight in? And they're like, actually, I've had a few people say, thank you, because I don't like small talk either. It's like It's
brilliant. And that's why I world with my missus like, oh my God, sometimes, because I just bowl in. So, for example, my wife's a lawyer. So you imagine she's at the other spectrum of the world where she's Shakespearean.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fantastic, by the way. But I remember going to events with her with all these other lawyers, and then she's like, I've left you for 30 seconds and now they're all talking to you about stuff and you're joking or saying stuff and doing stuff. She's like, these people really, I'm not all lawyers, but she's like, they're very highly strung, to the point, precise, very analytical people because that's their job. They're doing details. So you just come in like a bulldozer and go, oh, how are you doing? What are you up to? What's that?
Right. It's colourful, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the best way to express it. I do for myself. That's the best way to express that. For example, I do that. So I've got this. My scrabby old board's got a hole in which I'm
using a tyre. Exactly the same thing.
I've got like a little spongy ball.
Yeah.
And John's got like a round donut.
Donut. tire thing. So yeah,
I walk around the house with this, and I'm just squeezing. I might be on the phone talking,
right.
but it helps me. And if anyone's listening, it's finding little things like that. But I just find I'll be in a meeting and the people going, "What are you doing?" I go,
well, it's at least, I feel like, again, it's like there's valves. I feel like actually, otherwise, I'd probably be twitching or I'd be doing something, grabbing. Right. And some people can call, there's stims and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's fun. But actually, I'm like, no. Like I got these, I can't remember. There's different grades, but they got like, what is this? 30, I don't know, pounds or something like that. So you can do one side for 20, one side for 30. And it's just like, okay, well, this strengthens my hand. So you can get grip masters, ones when you go climbing and stuff. Yeah. Well, that helps my guitar playing. So I'm like, it's like adult fidget toys. I know that fidget toys are supposed to be for kids, but actually I'm like, grip masters, these and stuff, all those ones that you get with the wrists, obviously with the springs and stuff, or whatever you want to use. But it's just like, if people ask, it's like, look, I'm strengthening my hands and I'm actually offloading, stuff at the same time to try and keep me here and present, because to try and keep focused, especially if you're in meetings and stuff as well. If the brain's going buzzy, it's just like, if I don't have nothing else, you'll get the pen. With the pen, right, and then you start becoming that annoying bastard where you're just going click, 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 click. I was like, okay, I've learned not to do that, so I'm now going to go and get my, your ball or whatever it is and stuff. It's just like, but also there's a feeling of, because I remember I've had sort of the quote, and I don't know if you've had it, where it's like, can we just be an adult? Can we just have an adult conversation? And it's just like, but what is an adult conversation? What is an adult way of being? Like you said with those lawyers, it's like, is that an adult way of being, or is it the colourful way? It's just like, no, there's no one size fits all. But what I love your approach is just like, there's black and white with how obviously some people talk and stuff as well. And as soon as colour comes in, some people will like it. Some people go, oh, maybe it's a bit childish. It's like, no, it's just, actually, there's some ways where becoming an adult is like, you strip away all of that side that you used to have of yourself, right? And you now have to be this, straight-laced sort of talking way and stuff, until they capture, obviously, people like ourselves who are just like, no, we're just openly colourful and we just talk the way we talk. And
I think in business, like, there's obviously people listening of, business stuff. Everyone's different and you'll have your own kind of ways of achieving things. But yeah, I found kind of leadership, how I manage people, how I lead people, is through that. One, obviously finding out about them and what triggers them and what their personal traits and needs are. But it's the little random things. I remember in one of my jobs, I decided that our monthly meetings, so it'd all be like KPIs and performance and charts and maintenance and how we're achieving things. I got to a point where I was like, it's in the same office every month. I don't want to keep travelling up to London to go to this office, to sit in a room. So I got to a point, I went, do you know what, I'm changing it. I decided to change it, and we're going to do it at random places. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it but when I then left the business, everyone went, we really missed that. We're absolutely gutted, because obviously sometimes the internet wouldn't work. Like, I remember one doing a Brighton Marina. So we done it in a cocktail bar on a Friday afternoon. I had 20 people sat under working for me. And they're like, the internet will work properly. So we got to a point where I went, do you know what? We can't get the graphs up. Everyone's just going to have to talk about their presentation while we're drinking pina coladas on a Friday. And obviously for a business would go, what are you doing?
Yeah, etiquette, business etiquette.
You're not looking at any of the reports, the charts, all the data, analytical stuff that's been put together to send to the directors. I was like, I'll figure it out when I get home. I'll put it all together. But it's just go around the room. And I remember one doing a pizza place. So I remember taking all my staff to a pizza place, and we were making pizzas and doing the meeting there. So we'd make a pizza and then done the press. And for most people, we're going, this is weird. What the hell is going on? And that. But some people, but when I then left, people went, we love that. We miss it. We know. And I spoke to people now, they're like, oh, we wish that you were still doing it, because it made it exciting. And fun. Like, you just childlike in some ways.
Right.
But they went, what a breath of fresh air. We got more out. We wanted to come to the meetings. We wanted to put the reports together. Like I used to always do a silly thing. If I put a PowerPoint presentation together, I learned to obviously start doing it. I used to put like music sometimes to it. So it'd be like like David Brent style intro,
Right.
yeah, or silly cameo of something at the beginning. They're like, this is like a board of directors and stakeholders, and you're putting bloody Rocky No Easy Way Out for the title for the. But now people go, they're always the best PowerPoints. I see people now in different areas, and they go, oh, I miss them PowerPoints. I'm always waiting for someone to put some random beginning to it. And I was like, but that's child, but that is.
It's colourful, mate. It's the most. It's artistic, colourful in a way of just like, actually, in some ways, again, you get rid of the arts, you get all that kind of thinking and stuff as well. If we were all, had the same brain and the same minds and stuff as well, in regards to, we thought that way, where it's just like a template and it's the same, same PowerPoint, same way of doing stuff as well. I find it really grey. I'm just like, I'm just like, no, I need to have something that's colourful, something a little bit different. It's incentives as well. If you've done that in the way that obviously people thought it was unorthodox and strange and stuff at first, but then they go, actually, you're combining my two, like you're combining their personal life with their professional. That in the way of like taking them to a pizza place. They might have had pizza when they were a kid. Like if you spark that into what they're doing now, they're going, actually, I don't have to be put on a mask. I don't have to be this person. So it's almost, there's lots of subconscious, subliminal things that, that you're naturally doing yourself. And it's just like, actually, this is just, you've also gone in there and experienced it. And if it's draining you and draining energy and stuff as well, it's just like, no, actually, we need something here that's just a little bit different or whatever it is and stuff. I even find it with, guitarists, they have one tuning that obviously all the greats, all the legends and everything, it's like a standard tuning, and I found everyone's using it all the time and stuff as well, and it's like, it's great and the things as well. But when I go to a completely different tuning, completely different canvas, have no idea where I'm going, but I've got abilities and stuff as well, and I've created so many compositions out of that. It's just in the music world, and basically it's just like, I don't want to go back to that, because it's all the legends and heroes that I've got to try and, lift myself up to, or I've got to do it in this way, or it's structures, or it's patterns, or it's shapes. It's the same with the business world. It's just like, this is the way we do things. This is the formula. This is the process. And it's just like, well, what if that? It's like school again, right? It's like, well, what if that's not the one size fits all? What's the? Can we make this super colourful in all certain ways and stuff? So, there was a supply teacher used to come in. He was a guitarist and he used to do history. I used to absolutely love his sessions because he wasn't the official teacher. He'd be like, nah, I'm not going to use the book. I'm just going to do it through chatting and also connecting things of like Henry VIII. But he'd be like, yeah, he was a bit of a drinker. He used to do this, whatever it is and stuff as well. I was like, this is great. You're pitching it in a really personal, grounded way, rather than it being just like, okay, it's just carbon copy, cookie cutter stuff every single time. And I love it. It's both sort of situations. I've had it with venues and stuff as well. You can tell you're like, no, this is my cup of tea. I like this. It sort of spices it up a little bit. So, mate, yeah, I love the colourful approach of that, because you've obviously you've left a memory for them for the rest of their life as well.
I think you should do that in life. For me, I think, you've got, hopefully with lots of people different beliefs and stuff, but I think you've got one crack at this, and you sit there and you kind of go, look, I've got this thing that's happened to me. It is what it is, as the title of my book is. You've got to deal with it. You've got to embrace it. And I just think if you can leave a memory somewhere that's decent or fun, or someone goes, I'm doing that, then you've brought some happiness, you've brought something to someone's life, and you've made a difference in a positive way. And I think with how things are today, and like I said before, society and way things are going currently, being positive is far more greater than trying to bring people. I use a mentality I talk to a lot of people about the crab mentality. And I say to them, look, if you look at a group of crabs, if one's trying to get out the bucket, and that could be any kind of euphemism for life or whatever aspect of your life. Instead of the other crabs following and going, well, he's got out the bucket, we could do a runner back to the sea here, they drag him back in. As a society seems to be a bit like that at the moment. And I think if you're brave enough to just try something different and just put yourself in a position where if it don't work, it don't work. It doesn't matter. Don't get me wrong, if you're, in charge of a nuclear reactor, maybe don't press the red button. But in my head, if I saw a nuclear reactor and saw a big red button, I'd go, do not press it. I've
got to press it.
If I've got a stick and done it, technically it's not me.
Yeah. So it's like I would avoid things of just things that
very certain. But I just think people listening and hopefully today we've asked that someone kind of listens to this and goes, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm just going to try that thing. It might not work out. It might go terribly wrong, but you're going to learn from that experience if it goes terribly wrong to go, maybe next time I'll do it this way. You found another path. Or you might just fall into something and absolutely love it. And then the next thing you know, that is your thing, your calling, your gift, or whatever it may be. But just being brave enough to try these things. And I've kind of got to a point in my life where, even career, where so what? If you try something, don't work out, you lose your job, which is hard, or you be in a position where, you think, I just don't enjoy this. Why? Just do something else. Go and, yes, you might earn less money to start, but you can build up and take time, and there is reality checks. You do need to, earn a certain amount of money to fund your life, kids' life, bills, more. But I think it's a sideline. I think it's a side hustle until you build something up, and if it doesn't work, you don't. So, perfect example for me, I had a really successful kind of after I broke my leg, I kind of went in because people get going, oh, it's amazing, you've recovered and you've got you're back to kind of could have lost your leg and now you're kind of rehabilitation and you're training, and went in obviously in the book into bodybuilding and stuff like that. So I just then started helping other people, and it wasn't even, in the nicest way, I didn't really want to help other people. I was just kind of, someone would go, oh, Andy, do you fancy doing a gym session? And I'd be like, oh, I'll come and help. And they'll be like, oh, maybe you need to think about that. Or, oh, my friend broke her leg and she wants to know how to do recovery. And I was like, oh, okay, then this is what I did, kind of thing. And then before I knew it, I kind of amalgamated, so the company was Destiny Performance, and it's in the book that I amalgamated kind of rehabilitation, physio, kind of personal training, went and done the courses, my football coaching, one-on-one psychology, and kind of amalgamated it all together. And it was so successful. For me, it was brilliant, and it got to a point sometimes where it got so I couldn't do it all on my own anymore.
Right.
But it's very hard to find the right people, and it was and lessons I learned from that, from business to who you trust, who you bring in. So the same crab mentality happens, or people try and take advantage of your degree.
Of course.
But I got to a point where it's actually, I said to my wife, we've done well from it. It helps us out in all situations we want to achieve. And the emotional side of it was quite draining, because you're taking on other people's. No one comes to you going, to a certain degree. I had a lot of people in business who are successful, but everyone's always got something going. And that's another thing with dyslexia. I would say to people is, don't worry, it's not just you. Everyone's got something going on. It's just if they can articulate it or tell someone or talk about it, which is good. But then I found with my own things and all their things joined together, I was like, I love it. I love helping people. I find it brilliant. And it was 7 years of fantastic enjoyment, but at the same time I've got some great experiences from it, and it's platforms it's helped me put on. But it got to the point for, well, I'm going to kind of rein it back in and go down a different path, go down a different route. And do I miss it? Yes, sometimes I miss it. Do I miss the getting in at midnight, being exhausted? I've done 7 hours of being with people which I love and helping, great, but that takes its toll when you've got your own things going on.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is the burdens that people go, oh, I don't want to give my burdens to someone. You're not really giving your burdens. You're just telling them where you're at and what you're doing. And that's vice versa. People are going to do the same for you, but only take what you can from it. Don't take everyone's emotional baggage. Don't take everyone's burdens on, and I think naturally with ADHD or dyslexia, people are naturally empathetic people because it's a kind of enhancement. It's a bit, you kind of instantly take. Like, I don't know about you, I do it with music because I love music. Obviously, it's an emotional mood up. Music, you put a song on, you feel amazing. Put a song, you start crying. But I do it with films where I think sometimes I watch film and I get so invested into the characters. Sometimes I think about that film for days and then after, and I'm like, my wife will just watch it out. But then I'm like, I wonder what happened to that character after.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And maybe that is a characteristic, but you imagine doing that in life as well. You're doing that with it, and it's really tough. It's hard, and it's so for people kind of wanting to like hopefully go out of this today and say, right, I'm going to do this now. Is tell people, express yourself, learn from it, get mentors, get to a position where you've got support, you're expressing yourself, tell people how you feel. You're going to take a bit of empathy on with other people's to help you build your own skills and their kind of connection with you. But yeah, just be wary of just taking too much up because it can overload you because you've got your own things to kind of build and take snippets of people and support them snippets. Don't try and support everything because I do that. I know in the past I've been like, someone's wanted to come to a business or employed someone or so, and you're like, right, I want to give you everything. You're going to be best friends and you're going to take on the world and you're going to do it. And obviously they're not in the same ilk as you. Everyone's got that same pizzazz or that same lifestyle, that same thought process. And sometimes it's probably overwhelming them. They go, oh my God, this crazy person that's just turned up and gone, right, we're going to take over the universe and we're going to build that rocket and we're going to build that #1 song. And they're going, oh my fucking God, I'm just coming for a job. But you try to buy them into your
right. It's like you've brought in the head, heart, and soul, and they're just like, no, I'm just looking for the head because I've got. They might even have their own passion for something that's not, that's not this, and it's just, and that I suppose, and that's experience as well. It's just like there's not a real right or wrong way about this without there because everyone's life is going to be different. All the falls, the drops, the hurdles, everything as well, all come at different times of life and everything as well. And it's just like. The only thing I suppose the other thing is with the failure or, if, for instance, divorce or like, you've lost a business or anything as well, there is going to be that hard processing and emotional stuff as well. But to try and see everything as an opportunity, there is an opportunity in every single thing, right? Like even with divorce, like you said, there's divorce, like, okay, actually I was, there's an end of a chapter in regards to that person, the way I was, communication tools, actually going forward, I'm going to learn this and stuff as well. You might not consciously be aware of it right away, but there is something where even when I crashed the business, like back in 2017 and stuff as well, how I'm resetting up that business now in a very kind of steady way and stuff as well. I'm like, no, I've had to almost make that crash for me to rethink a different way. So there's been an opportunity out of it. I had to go through a processing phase and grieving something, but actually, so I think it's the same sort of things. Like obviously people that you come encounter with and stuff as well. Like obviously taking certain things on, boundaries. I mean, I never was able to set up boundaries in my whole life, and I've only been able to set it up. I'm like, crikey, like I'm in my 40s. I'm setting boundaries for the first time, but that's a self-awareness thing, right? And then agreements that you have with people. This is this and this, like communication styles. Like I don't know. It's just like wow, but. I wasn't in the mindset. I wasn't in the capability because I wasn't aware of what was going on internally. It was always external. And I suppose once you can get to a point where instead of pointing the light externally all the time, we've got to build this, we've got to do this and things and stuff. But a lot of people find it hard to point the torch inwards, like we were talking about accountability, but also self-awareness, maybe some introspection, maybe to go in, what makes me tick? What is actually the positives and negatives of certain things and stuff? What makes me trigger? What makes me spark up and stuff? And it's just like, okay, actually, I'm starting to do it now, and I'm just like, bloody hell! Actually, this is, it's like negative people. Like you said, like if you hang around with 5 negative people, then well, look, it's just going to be negativity all the time. If I try and set up with positivity or whatever it is and things and stuff, finding out what you do like and you don't like. I don't know. Some people never get to that point.
No, and you've got to that point. It's amazing because, like I said, some people don't, but the people listening, your viewers listening, you again just bounced off my head. So I even put a thing as a boundaries of back to football, but friendships,
right,
on family members, and because I don't know about yourself, but I've had it in the past where someone's let you down, and I've always been someone I try and never let someone down. If someone says I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'll find a way of doing it. And I found it quite hard kind of dealing with that process. Maybe that is a normal thing, a dyslexia, I don't know. But you feel let down, someone lets you down, you're a bit like, oh, well, it's my fault. Why they let me down? Why would they want to do that? And you have that with business as well. I've used it now where I put people in like football league tables. So your Premier League is your most important people. You trust them. They're the people who are going to not let you down. They're there. But people can get relegated and people can get promoted.
Right. That's great. Great analogy.
You have that kind of scale of, someone's in Division 4. They might let you down every other week. They might not turn up to a party or event. They might not be there when you need. But you've expected, now, because they're in Division 4. So that's where they're. So all of a sudden, I've learned that boundary skill. And it's only been, to be honest, the last probably 18 months that I've even put that in place, because I've always had the philosophy of, I'll give you everything. You have to prove or let me down before I shut up shop.
Right.
I've gone, you come in and people say, I'll treat them like I've known them for 25 years. Your friend, but you've got to prove to me, if you do something wrong, then that's it, you get nothing.
Right.
The barrier's gone, and it's end of life. You're not coming back. And I used to have that mentality more. I still have it to a certain degree, but I've kind of channeled it now. I go, well, why do you keep expecting that person to be like you? And I don't know if that is an ADHD because it's straight down the line, black and white. Is it a dyslexia thing? Is it a neurodivergent where you go, well, they should be like me because I have them principles, but they're not. And you sit there and you go, they don't think like you. So you can't then put your stock and your value and your kind of ideologies to them because they don't think like you.
They don't have the same blueprint. Yeah.
Your dad, that could be your brother, your sister, your best friend, your wife, your husband. Even I don't have kids in mind because kids are obviously learning and developing. And
yeah.
But I have all adults in my life now where I go, there's a sliding scale. You can get promoted, you can get relegated. No one's in liquidation. No one goes. But
do you find have you done that for yourself in regards to you're aware that I want to be a Premier League player for X, Y, and Z? So like obviously for your partner, it's just like obviously we got certain things and stuff, but right, that's fine. Actually, it's even asking, it's like, how do I be a Premier League, the top of the Premier League for you and stuff as well? And sometimes they might not even know because you haven't got the same awareness. They haven't got the same mind to be able to sort of think like that. But there is, probably in yourself, it's just like, do you know what? I can bring X, all these ingredients. If I can do these ingredients well, this is what's happening here. Because sometimes when you're like, oh, I need to be a Premier League team, but I don't really know what that means in regards to that person and that, because everyone's different, right? But I suppose that's your awareness. And it's probably, I imagine if you start doing that for yourself, where you're setting boundaries of other people and, relegating and stuff, it will then have a cycle where it will point around to yourself, where you're going, well, if I'm setting that with other people, then I've got to try and set that for them or for whoever else it is. But it's a great analogy, man. It's really, really great.
Well, yeah, people can nick it, take it, do it. I use it obviously going back to football because that's what I love. And I use it, but it helped me then kind of not be so emotionally, what's probably the best word, emotionally kind of.
Well, it's because there's also with ADHD, and then there's something called RSD, so it's rejection sensitive dysphoria. So as soon as you get someone who lets down things as well, it's not it doesn't just become an emotional sort of mental thing. It can become a physical, like literally you've given me like an illness sort of thing, like that kind of sort of severe. And then there's justice and sensitivity, and it's just like then you're like, no, sorry, you've crossed a line to that point where I don't think I'm able, or every time you do try and get back, you're instantly triggered by that same thing or occurring. So you're like, yeah, you've got your Man City and you've got your 100 and what fines and stuff as well. You've gone down 3 leagues, whatever it is and stuff as well. If it does happen, I probably won't. But it's the same sort of, like, that is a great way of kind of going, look, it is the way it is and stuff as well. And but you also know the people for your ups and downs if they've been in your corner the whole time and stuff as well. You're like, look, you might have flaws and stuff as well. I'm willing to. It's like driving tests. If you get a major fail, right, a major thing, you've failed your driving test. But if you get minors, it's like, it's fine. But if you clocks up and you get like 20 minors, then we're going to have to start having conversations. But yeah, it's those but what we've done there is analogies where it cuts through the intellect, like kind of like the academic intellectual kind of, it's black and white and everything as well. It's just like, no, we've made it colorful. You've sparked my idea about football and made it actually this is passion. I'm like, and I've gone back into my childhood about football. It's like, that's what our brains can do as well. So it makes it really enjoyable. And because you enjoy football, I enjoy football. I'm like, that's a really, really great way of doing it and stuff. So even those, golden nuggets, I know when I speak to another parent who's not, their child's having guitar lessons, and I go, just look, so what we're going to do with your right hand, I want you to do a thumbs up, and then on your left hand, I want you to do a sock puppet, and then what we're going to do with finger picking, we're going to do an old flip phone shape, turn it around, and that's how you're going to play. And the parents are like, I don't even know anything about guitar, but I feel like you've made it really easy for me to, like, they could cross over at any time by a little analogy. And what you've just done there is the same sort of thing with the Premier League and everything as well. I'm like, that's great, because you're not making them A, B, C, which feels like C class, and that's just like degrading. You're like, well, no, you can get relegated, but you can get promoted again and stuff as well. They don't need to know that. But you're just.
It's an exclusive you got there, Jon. I've just found that.
Yeah, it's a really powerful. I love also as dyslexics and neurodivergent. It's just like analogies, man, are so powerful with visuals and stuff as well. And I think actually with this podcast and this episode, so to wrap it up, I have no idea how long this is, but it'd be interesting at the end. But I always like end with a recommendation at the end and stuff as well. And you've shared loads already. But I'm also going to share the link with the book, and we've got loads of stuff to offer and things as well. And this won't be the last time we chat and stuff as well. Are you writing another book, or is that kind of, are you done with writing books?
No, so I'm kind of in the throes at the moment, nearly finishing, just putting stuff together. So.
Like getting the monkey off your back, like now you've got one off your back. It's almost like, okay, I'm just treading the water.
This is totally different. So this is going to be more of a kind of bit of fun, bit of a kind of a crime stroke kind of.
Oh, nice! So you've done.
Yeah, something completely again random. I went, well, I've written this book.
Yeah.
It's
factual.
Kind of try it. It could be an absolute disaster. It could be amazing. But I'm going to at least. And the big thing for me is, I always look back when I get older. I want to look back at my life. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and I'm gifted to get to an old age, to look back and go, do you know what, I've done these things, and even a legacy of this kind of American legacy for my family and stuff. But I just want my kids or my kids' kids to sit there and go, he's a bit mental, Grandad, wasn't he? But he did that. Done this stuff.
But also they have an idea of who you are, but then they get to read the stuff you've done. It's the same with my music, actually. I'm like, I want to keep writing albums now, so they're there. I used to do them every year. It was nuts when I was doing that. Now they're every 3 years, but they're an unofficial degree in what's going in my time of life. So I'm not writing for what people want. I'm writing metamorphosis, so what I've just gone through and stuff like. So next 3 years, and then next 3 years, and by the time they get to there, I'm like, look, you might know me, but if you listen to my music, you'll understand me so much more. And it's the same with your books. Like if you've written a factual book, but it's also some mini autobiography in some ways of like some way of how you've had to process it. But also because I was saying I was going to do a factual, but I've also wanted to do a fantasy fiction book and stuff as well, because I love like Lord of the Rings and things as well. But I wanted to do it about what this sort of stuff as well. And I think, again, you've inspired me, but it's so nice to hear I'd like to get on another podcast episode when you eventually, you know, maybe that's a thing, mate. We'll do a podcast episode at the end of it. So you've got to finish the book now for you to come back on. But yeah, there's no rush for that. But I think it's the same. Like even doing, when I did the first album, it was like, oh, pulling teeth. Then I did the second and third. It was like, oh, okay, I'm doing it in my own way. I'm not doing where I'm other people and telling me anymore. You'll probably get to that process where you're like, you know, I think you also, once you've done a book, you need to do the hard graft. It's like doing a marathon for the first time or whatever it is and stuff, right? Once you've done that, and yeah, there's going to be horrible days and all sorts of stuff as well. Once you've done it once, it's almost like, don't close the chapter on that. Excuse the pun, but like actually dip into the waters again and see, right, actually I didn't like that. I didn't like the way I, did that and stuff as well. And then before you know it, mate, you'll have a bloody series of stuff by the end of, in your life. And that is from your dyslexic venture. And I love the fact that you've turned something that was, grim and really hard and stuff as well into actually you're producing books, which is just like, bloody hell, what a way to turn it on its head and stuff as well. And I think that's what, when people are listening and stuff as well, whether you're processing it through music or, whatever medium and stuff as well, it's almost like instead of it being just personal all the time, actually try and get it out. And so even for podcasts and stuff as well, it doesn't have to be polished in a way that, like we talked about, right? It can be rough, ready, it can be what and stuff. And I think I'm excited to see this next one, mate, because I think, knowing yourself and knowing the process and stuff as well, you'll sharpen every single time you do it and stuff as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, but recommendation. My kind of thing may be cheesy or not, but life is like a book. You are a book.
Yeah. And
you can write your own chapters. That is the thing with people. That if you treat your life like a book, you turn the page. You make your choice of what the next.
Right. You're not defined as one. You're not just defined as one moment and stuff as well.
Make a new chapter. It might be long. It might be short. It might be a movie, it might be a novel, it might be action-packed, it might be a horror, it could be anything. But I always say to any of your listeners, and that's probably my one thing I'd give is do that. Make your own chapters. Don't get dictated by other people, by the crabs, by routine, by structure. This is how it's always been done.
Yeah.
Write your own book. Obviously, you can write your own book, be brilliant, but you make your own chapters up.
Whatever. Definitely.
That's the best I'd say. But no, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's lovely. Like I said, maybe we'll set up the cave with a coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee club. No one will get there because they're going to do directions.
No.
Way out,
but that'll be the journey. It's just like you give them a treasure map. Don't worry about just like GPS directions. Just go. Give them a vision.
Dyslexia people. That'd be scary. No one would ever meet it, would they?
No one would. And everyone would just end up back home and just like that was the journey of it. But mate, it's always a pleasure. I've absolutely loved, like, even from December. It's just like there's like you said, there's some people come in your life and you can instantly. It's like going into a lift and there's small talk, but I go down to level 50, level 100, like immediately. And you're one of those. And I'm really like, appreciate everything, all the, advice, conversations and stuff as well. It's going to keep continuously going on. But go and check out Andy's book, Dyslexia. Fucking deal with it. And I love the way you've even spelled fucking as well. Like, it's just, mate, it's been such a great book, but also getting to know yourself and things as well. It's been absolute pleasure and stuff. So mate.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Take care, fella.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.